What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 286, and we are finally saying goodbye to at least a portion of the infamous backlog from hell, because while it took me almost a year and a half to finish them all, this is the final Stupid Sexy sponsored episode from the queue that began back in 2022 when we were still taking them. It's just, that line lasted forever, and we're finally to the end of it, and we're talking Lufia II, Rise of the Sinistrals, hereon referred to as Sinistrals. And I'm going to warn you all, we are going to spoil some of this game right now. For a JRPG, the story's not really that deep. I don't think our spoilers will, I don't think anything we're going to say here isn't enough to make it it's not worth playing anymore. Don't worry about that, I promise. I'm sure some of you have not played this game. Most of you probably haven't. Truth be told, I'd never even heard of it until about a year ago myself. But it is a JRPG on the Super Nintendo, and that's reason enough for having never heard of it, because being a lesser known, for lack of a better term, a B-tier RPG on the Super Nintendo, that's like being a second stringer on a Dynasty sports team. It's just like, I got the ring, but I didn't really do very much. And I was a little, on Lufia II going in, because RPGs are just long, and I get bored of a lot of them. But I was quite surprised by this game. It's pretty fun. If you've never played it, it's got the classic, sword, shields, magic, Dungeons & Dragons setting. You control a group of heroes out to stop the Sinistrals from destroying the world. It's got the classic, the airship. You fly around like the Final Fantasy 2 and 3 on the Super Nintendo, where you see the digital world underneath you and all that stuff. And the combat itself is classic turn-based RPG combat. But what hooked me in this game is when you're not in combat, the dungeons play like the Legend of Zelda Link to the Past. It's just, you control one character walking around, you're lifting pots, you're blowing up walls, you're cutting down bushes, you're solving puzzles, you're finding treasures, you got a bow and arrow, a bomb, a hook shot that you can help to solve the puzzles with. Imagine Zelda if every time you fought an enemy, it went into an RPG combat screen. That's what this game is, and it's pretty neat. It's linear as fuck. The story's not anything special. One portion of the game is a glitchy mess, and it deserves some flack for that. And you're probably only playing this if you emulate it, because it's pretty expensive and hard to find. But if you like classic 16-bit RPGs, I think this one is worth emulating. Longtime hot dog Jay Nasty picked this game for his sponsored episode, and he swings by to explain why. And then the Mad with Power Discord mod Captain N pops in to take a deeper dive into Lufia 2 with me. It's a cool little game, and despite all of its flaws, I did not hate it. And we'll get there in just a minute, because speaking of not hating something despite all of its flaws, it's time for another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. Dun, 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 dun! If you're new to the show, welcome aboard, and consider this your warning. Our intros are kind of long, but they're fun. We talk video games and stuff, and I recommend giving them a listen. I don't think they're terrible. And they're much easier to skip, or they're way shorter than an RPG, which I guess does make it easier to skip. I lost my way there. But they're much shorter than an RPG, all right? If you do want to skip it, go to about the 30-minute mark. You'll be into Lufia 2 talk. Let me get my plugs out of the way. We got to keep some bills on around here. You can check out all of our merch, shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, posters. You can find it all at rememberthegamepodcast.com. And shout out to my man Joe from 4545creative.com for designing all of it. Talented motherfucker. And of course, if you don't like clothes, I get it. You can support us on the old Patreon box. Our subscription started at just $3 a month. It's just the change in your couch. And you get so much, hundreds of archive bonus podcasts ad-free or waiting for you the second you sign up. And you can now listen to them on Spotify, which is mwah. And we add 4 extra shows to that archive backlog every single week. Each Monday, Mark McHugh and I are talking an episode of The Simpsons over on Purple Monkey Dishwasher. Every Tuesday, I talk about whatever the fuck I want on The Rambling Idiot. I'll share my thoughts on comedy, TV, movies, sports, whatever's on my mind. I do a lot of movie reviews over there as well. Every Friday, I drop Game Patch, which is my modern gaming news show where we talk about the biggest stories in video games. I tell you about the new releases, etc. And Thursday is Expansion Pass, which is a different gaming theme show every week. We look back at consoles and characters. I do tons of rankings. There's a lot of modern game reviews. There's some comedy episodes. This past week, it was Expansion Pass 199. And we decided to vent a little bit and bitch about our gaming pet peeves. They're not the full-blown gaming grievances. They're just those little things games do that irritate us. They're like gaming mosquitoes. And as is becoming tradition, here is a sneak peek of last week's episode of Expansion Pass, our gaming pet peeves. My first big gaming pet peeve are unpausable or unskippable cutscenes. Cutscenes need to have all 3 options. Option 1, watch it. Option 2, pause it. Option 3, skip it. They need all 3. There's no excuse not to have all 3. I could possibly, kind of, maybe, potentially hear an argument for retro games with cutscenes. But in today's society, there's no place for this. People are busy. What happens when my phone rings while I'm in the middle of a game in a cutscene and then I look down at it, or like I always fucking do? Or like, what if your wife or your spouse or somebody comes into the room and you want to talk to them or whatever? Let me pause a cutscene. Cutscenes are a perfect time to go for a pee or something. Let me pause. Let me go pee and refill my drink and then come back and keep playing. Let me pause it. And for the love of Christ, if you're going to make me go back and watch a cutscene again before I get another shot at a boss or whatever the fuck, which drives me crazy on its own when there's an unskippable cutscene right before a boss fight or something, which we had some write-ins about, we're just going to get to in a second, let me skip that cutscene, because if you make me watch that cutscene over and over and over again, every time I watch it, you just lock your 3 points off of my grade scale, and my grade scale is only 10, so if I have to watch a cutscene 3 times, you're fucked. So that's now available in our archives, and this week for expansion pass number 200. I can't believe we made it to 200 of those things. I'm going to go back to episode 100 and update it. If you don't know, on expansion pass 100, I counted down my 100 favorite games of all time. But in the 2 years since we published that episode, I've probably played 100, 150 more games. So this week, I'm going to revise that list, and I'm going to hit you with my new 2024 edition of my 100 favorite games of all time. Should be fun. So again, subscriptions start at $3 a month to get new shows every week, instant access to hundreds of ad-free bonus podcasts in the archives. You get a vote in the pre-March Madness Patreon poll tournament extravaganza, a 64-game tournament. We're running through the entire month of February. Our patrons are voting on matchups every day, and we're going to get it down to one winner, and that game will get an episode of Remember the Game. We just started the Sweet 16 on Tuesday, so it's getting intense now. It's fucking wild. Not only that, you get access to the Remember the Game Discord. You get to vote on all of our polls. You get the ability to submit comments to be read on all of our shows. You get DM with me. You get discounts on your merch. And you even get a shout out and get to hear me mispronounce your name like I'm about to most of these people. A huge thank you to our newest patrons, Wolves Slasher, Nicholas Rego, Tim H. I wonder if that's Tim Hortons. I wonder. Scattered Scribe, Steven Nelson, Carter Barco, and Stewie3. There's 3 Y's in there. So Stewie 3. Thank you all so much for the support, and welcome to Remember the Game Industries, patreon.com/rememberthegame. And don't forget, we offer annual subs that'll save you your 12th month's fees as well. Oh. And finally, you can find me over on the old Twitch box, twitch.tv/rememberthegame. I'm on there 3 or 4 times a week now, playing old games, wrestling games, other non-wrestling, just old video games. Shut the fuck up. It's pretty good times. Come by my Twitch. It's fun. That's enough blowing myself. Let's blow some of you by blowing in some cartridges. It is our opening segment here on the show. I read a few comments and questions from our Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always, and we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
Let's blow. Our first blower this week is Digital Dave, who said, "Hey Adam, I recently saw a Capcom survey that seems to gauge interest on several of their franchises. I'm curious, man. Would you rather see a new Mega Man game or a well-done remake of Mega Man 1-3 with Mega Man 11 style graphics and gameplay?" First of all, like a dozen of you sent me that Capcom survey, so appreciate you. I did indeed voice my support. We need more Mega Man. As far as your question, would I rather see a new Mega Man game or remakes of 1-3 in the 11 graphics and style? I think a new one. I should be told, if I had the pen and I could only make one Mega Man game, I would make a new Mega Man X in the 16-bit style. Or maybe the Mega Man 11 style. I think that's what I would do. But if I had to choose, like, I've played Mega Man 1-3 to death, and sure, it'd be great to see them remade in that new style and seeing the Robot Masters bigger and badder than ever and stuff like that. But when it comes to Mega Man, I'm almost always going to ask for a new one over a remake. Just because I'm like, I've played those ones so many times. I want new. Where in the fuck is Mega Man? So I'll say first choice, Mega Man X 16-bit. Second choice, new classic Mega Man. Third choice, remake Mega Man 1-3 like Mega Man 11. Although Mega Man 11 is a great fucking game. Boy, I love that guy. I love that Blue Bomber so much. Yeah, I'll go that way. Pressing X. Pressing X said, Mr. Blank, my burning question this week is what are your thoughts on random generated levels? I mean, I get the positives of them as they can essentially make the game infinitely replayable, but for me, I like a level that's been designed specifically for the user, especially in platformers. I want my level to be painstakingly planned out within an inch and play tested for perfection. I want to get your thoughts, as I recently was tempted by 20XX, but it seemed to have random levels and it instantly turned me off. So if you haven't played 20XX, everybody, it's an indie game. It's basically a Mega Man roguelike. It's pretty dope. It's pretty fun. Where am I? I actually, truth be told, I prefer randomly generated levels to designed like to the letter levels if the random generation is good. An example was like Starfield, and I know it's not a platformer, but Starfield, they were like, oh my god, the caves and the laboratories and stuff you're gonna find are all like, oh, they're you never know what you're gonna get, and then you go in and it's like it's the same 4 designs over and over again. I'm like, this sucks. And yes, there can be some randomly generated levels that just are crap and they're not very much fun. But when they're well done, and I really enjoyed the random layouts of 20XX. That was what kept me coming back, but different strokes for different folks. I like that. I'm playing Rogue Legacy 2 a little bit right now. I love the original Rogue Legacy. I love this one, and everything's randomly generated every time. So when it's done properly, I'm a huge fan of the random generated levels because it does give it a ton of replayability. So I'm gonna side with liking them. They just have to be. They have to be good. It's like peanut butter. You know, I love peanut butter, but it's got to be good. I know it's the worst analogy I've ever said. I hate shitty peanut butter. But random design good peanut butter is spectacular. So I'm pro random as long as it's done well. Hibs Habs said, hey Adam, I notice your voice rarely cracks these days. Have you finally hit puberty? I don't know. I was thinking that too. My voice isn't cracking as much as it used to. And I am getting more hair on my back and in my ears than I've ever had. So maybe I am. Maybe I did finally hit puberty. If that's the case, it would explain why my back always hurts. Puberty sucks. But my voice is cracking less these days. Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate that. John Evan Bear said, hi, Adam. Have you ever rented a game as a kid and beaten it within one weekend? Yes. Actually, The Little Mermaid. Make fun of me if you want. It's a good fucking game. I rented that on the NES when I was a kid because I love that movie. I beat it the first time I played it. The first time I played it, I beat it. Not the weekend, but the first time. And I was like, what in the shit was this? For the most part, no, because most of the time when I was renting games, I was renting NES games or Super Nintendo. And the Super Nintendo, some were beatable. But on the NES, most of those games, like, it took fucking months of playing them over and over to get good enough to beat them. But The Little Mermaid is one that'll always stick out to me because I literally beat it the night I brought it home. And then I think I played through it 2 or 3 more times that weekend. It was still neat because it was new, but it was disappointing. So here's a question. Back when you were a kid and you were renting, especially NES games, would you rather be able to beat it the weekend you rent it? Or would you rather not be able to beat it and have a chance and have a reason to rent it again and keep playing it? Because like NES games were so tough back then, but we didn't really know any better. So it was like, it's fine. I don't care that they're hard. That's what they're supposed to be. So I'm curious. Where are you? I mean, I want to know. The Rockstar said, Adam, as a big Metal Gear Solid fan, in a way, it was hard to hear you shit all over Snake Eater, but I admire your honesty, and I was grateful you gave it 2 different scores based on both the game and your personal view. Thanks for another Ace episode, and I get why we won't get a Metal Gear Solid 4 episode, and I respect it. My question is, my question is, I'm sure we haven't heard this before. Who are your top 3 celebrity crushes? I can't wait to hear this in a few weeks when I finish the backlog. That's number 1 is, Aubrey Plaza? Is that her last name? From Parks and Rec. She's got so much attitude, and it just melts me, man. Aubrey's awesome. I think that's her name. I love that girl. And then the other 2, probably Jennifer Lopez, there's a voice crack. Jennifer Lopez, who I have loved since high school. And you know what? I know that she's kind of gone off the deep end, but I still adore Britney Spears. Those are probably my 3 biggest celebrity crushes. Yeah, I'll go with that. Also, if I'm throwing in a 4th one, Jamie Hayter from AEW. But yeah, I'll go with those. Let's go with those. John Truckosaurus said, hi, Adam. I recently saw this video on YouTube and I can't stop thinking about it. It was basically about how a lot of people consider Mario 64 to be a horror game, how the game evokes feelings of loneliness and dread, with the overall vibe of the game is dark and gloomy, and it lacks that classic Mario charm we've come to expect. Apparently, a lot of people feel this way, and it blew my mind because I always viewed it as a charming, colorful experience. Just wondering if you've ever heard of this. I think it would make an excellent expansion pass episode 2. Whether you agree or disagree, I think our hot dogs would have a lot to say about the subject. Cheers. I've never heard that before, and I guess I could see it because there are a couple of levels that, that fucking fire level always makes me depressed, as does the water one with the pirate ship, even though the music is so happy, just because I suck at that game. But no, I don't consider Mario 64 a horror game at all. Like, that fucking opening part is so nice and, like, do, boo, boo, doo, doo, doo. And it's just so happy. And then that first level, and you're, like, racing the Koopa Troopa and fighting the giant bomb. And no, I disagree. The only thing that's horrific about Mario 64 is killing that baby penguin. Which, yeah, it's fucked up, but the penguin deserves it. And if you know, you know. And you all know, that little bastard. No, I don't consider it a horror game. Travis Renberg said, Adam, will you be doing an episode on Cyberpunk 2077 when you're finished? The game, even on release, was amazing, and I don't think it deserves the flack it received, and I would be looking forward to your thoughts on it. Also, are you playing with Phantom Liberty or just the base game? To answer, okay, so will you be doing an episode on Cyberpunk when I'm done? I will. If I finish it, I will do an episode of Expansion Pass reviewing it. And I say if because I have a monstrous tendency to play these open world games for like 20, 30 hours and then be like, I don't want to play this anymore. And I've had enough. That said, the more I've played Cyberpunk, the more into it I'm getting. I'm playing it on my Steam Deck, and it's been awesome in little handheld bursts while I'm watching wrestling or whatever the fuck. So if I finish it, yes, I will review it on Expansion Pass. You don't think it deserved the flack it received? That I disagree with. They released a broken game. I wish I had tried it when it was broken just so that I could have a better opinion. But they released that knowing goddamn well that it didn't run properly, especially on the PS4 and Xbox One, and they just took money and walked away. And so while the game might be great now, I think they deserve all the flack they got and then some because they released a game that wasn't done. And then am I playing with Phantom Liberty or just the base game? I very, very rarely play DLC. I did buy the package that came with Phantom Liberty, but at this point I've played like a couple missions from the Phantom Liberty and then was like, oh, that's Phantom Liberty. I'll bench that for now. I don't know if I'll get through it or not. Before you write in and tell me it's great, I saw the reviews last year. It was a finalist for the Shooter of the Year at the Blankies. I know it's great. It's just I have so many games to play that a big game like that a lot of the time gets put to the wayside because I just don't have time to finish it. If I ever get around to finishing it, I will review it. So we'll see how that goes. But so far, so good. I am liking it. I think the first few hours are way too complicated, but once you actually understand how it's working, it's pretty fun. And finally, before we move on, it's letter time. Lakhdar9877 said, okay, rant time. Microtransactions should be a heavy no-no, if not banned outright. I've been playing Diablo since, I know it's Diablo. People have been writing in and telling me. I just like to say words wrong. I've been playing Diablo since 97, and it's my all-time favorite franchise. But Diablo 3 was finally polished crap, and then they announced Diablo 4. I waited 4 years and pre-purchased the biggest digital bundle they had in anticipation, but sadly it's more of what D3 did, only a more polished turd. Plus add in microtransactions, and I've completely stopped playing my $99 investment. Blizzard should be ashamed, and no wonder you don't pre-order anything, Adam. That might just be the last thing I ever pre-order. Now I can't speak to Diablo because I've never played one of those games, but I'm like 90% on board with, yes, I hate microtransactions. I wish they weren't in games. I will come back and say, like, yo, if you just want to sell like skins and themes and like just cosmetic shit that if people want to buy it, they can. That I don't mind as much. When it's anything in game, it does start to irritate me a little bit. I'll also counter that and say if it's a free to play out of the gate game and then you want to sell some stuff inside to get people to play, I mean, like a lot of the predatory like mobile games that people get addicted to and spend their life savings on, DSP, but I mean just like the little ones, I can live with that. You know, if I download a game for free and then I throw it $5 for like a skin or something, I can live with that, because the one thing I do think some people need to remember is that, and I'm not crying in my cereal for the game developers, but there's a reason we're seeing so many people laid off, right? Game development is incredibly expensive. And so if you can help offset your costs with a couple of microtransactions, again, I can live with it if they're optional, if they're cosmetic, if it's just like, hey, do you want to spend a couple of bucks on these? You can, but you don't have to. You can enjoy the game the way it is, and then if you want to get a little extra, go. It's like, I can go and order a salad, but I got to pay extra if I want to put chicken on it, right? Like I can live with that. Just if you want to enjoy your salad, go ahead. That I can live with. But I do agree they've gone completely out of hand. They're very predatory. I think they feast on people that don't have any willpower or they get addicted to them. Stuff like those card packs and the loot boxes and that kind of stuff are absolutely disgusting. And again, for 90% of the microtransactions out there, I agree it's disgusting. There are exceptions to the rule. But for the most part, I agree. I will say I never buy them. I don't care. I don't give a fuck what you're selling me. I don't remember the last time other than like the occasional DLC for like some extra characters and stuff, it's very, very rare that I spend any money on microtransactions because they do just add up and fuck with you. So I bought your game. That's all you're getting out of me. So there you go. And yeah, don't pre-order. That's just me. I know a lot of you disagree because I get those comments all the time. I don't remember the last time I pre-ordered a game. But I also buy games digitally, so I'm like, well, I don't need to pre-order it because they'll never run out of copies. I'll just download it when I'm ready to play it. But I'd rather see the reviews first and just make sure it's not another Cyberpunk. So anyway, there you go. Thank you, everybody, for writing in. Thanks for all your submissions. We got to keep this ball rolling. Let's switch things up and get to our Smash Hit segment, the official game show of Remember the Game Industries. It's Play 1, Remake 1, Erase 1. And a huge thank you to Classic Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing us with the theme music for the show. The rules are simple. Every week, I give our patrons 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released, they can remake one as a modern game, and the third is erased from time forever. And as always, there are no wrong answers, but there is a right one. We'll get there in just a minute. And this week, it was insane. We're talking a lesser-known SNES RPG, so I went with 3 more of those. I have Secret of Evermore, Terra Enigma, and Breath of Fire 2. And for the first time in Remember the Game history, we had a 3-way tie for the win. 22% each. 22% said play Secret of Evermore, remake Breath of Fire 2, erase Terra Enigma. 22% said play Breath of Fire 2, remake Evermore, and then erase Terra Enigma. And 22% said play Terra Enigma, remake Evermore, and erase Breath of Fire 2. And the other combinations all had 10% of the vote or more. It was the closest P1, R1, E1 ever. It was fucking sick. So let's see what a few of you had to say here, and then I'll tell you what the right answer was. Sven Vasquez said, I haven't played any of these, so I'll order them by how metal the covers look. Play Terra Enigma. It looks like a portal to heck opening up. Remake everything. Is that a giant bug? And erase Breath of Fire 2. It's a corny hair metal band. I'm always going to agree with someone that makes their picks based on the box art. I love that. John F. Ketamine said, play Breath of Fire 2 because I've owned a copy for years and haven't got around to it. Remake Terra Enigma because it's hard to find an official copy of it, and remaking it on modern hardware would make it more accessible. And erase Secret of Evermore because them's the rules. It hurts my heart for you to erase Evermore, but I get it. Fair enough. I get it. I really don't think there is a wrong answer this week. Torby Flenderson. I love that handle so much. Torby Flenderson said, play Evermore. As a kid, I didn't like it because there was something about the mechanics I couldn't figure out, so I didn't get very far. I think I see it differently today. Remake Terra Enigma so that it, Soul Blazer, and Illusion of Gaia, my personal favorite hidden gem game, would be offered as a multi-platform bundle with more fluid movement. And then erase Breath of Fire 2. I never much got into the series, so I just will not miss it, period. It's fair. I haven't gotten into it. Yeah, no, I can live with that. That's the sound logic. I get it. Michael Mathis said, play Breath of Fire 2. It's an amazing game that's in my top list for the SNES. Keep it the way it is. Remake Secret of Evermore. I love this game, but it could use some quality of life improvements such as the menu system for switching weapons or spells that could benefit from a controller with more buttons and sticks. And then erase Terra Enigma. I never played it. They never released it in North America for the SNES, so it's dead to me. That's cold. Because somebody else didn't release it, you're like, that's its fault. It's cold. I get it. Fair enough. I personally am going with one of the 3 co-leaders this week. I love that we had a 3-way tie. That's sick. As did Scattered Scribe, who said, I'm so happy I finally decided to back this Patreon so I could officially participate in my first ever Play One, Remake One, Erase One, and this week comes out swinging. I'll play Terra Enigma because I had no idea the sequel to Illusion of Gaia even existed, and it looks awesome. I'll remake Secret of Evermore because after beating Secret of Mana with my 2 best friends, this game was the next best thing. I think an update to this along with its awesome alchemy magic system would be amazing as a stylized indie or something like the Switch. On something like the Switch. And I'll erase Breath of Fire 2 because I'd still have Breath of Fire 3. Sorry, 2. Them's the rules. Same order, completely different reasoning. I would play Terra Enigma because I don't know a goddamn thing about it. Not a goddamn thing. Truthfully, I didn't know that it was a sequel to Illusion of Gaia, so I'd play that. I'd remake Secret of Evermore because I fucking love that game and I want it released on everything so everybody can play it. And then I'd erase Breath of Fire 2 because A, I think it's a very lame name, and number 2, it's Breath of Fire 2 and I don't want to be confused if I don't play Breath of Fire 1 first, which I don't want to have to do, so I'm just erasing the whole thing altogether. I know there was a concern with Lufia 2 because I never played Lufia 1. caused me many sleepless nights, frankly, and I just can't put myself through that again. So thank you to everybody that wrote in and played along as always. What have I been playing over the last week? Lufia II. I actually beat it on Sunday, I think, Saturday or Sunday. So definitely ready to talk about that. I've been playing Castlevania Bloodlines on the Genesis. That'll, spoiler, probably going to be next week's episode. Very good Castlevania game. I've been playing Tiny Toons Adventures on the NES, which won our Patreon poll in January. Very good game. I played it a lot growing up. I loved it. I'm playing it now. It's hard as I remember, but it's really awesome. That's coming up soon. And then, as I mentioned, I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077 whenever I get a few minutes to shoot people and hack people, I guess. It's fucking weird. So, all right, here's what's going to happen. I need a drink of water. We're going to pause here. We'll let a sponsor come in, peddle their wares, and we get back. It's all Lufia 2, okay? So we will be right back. This is an ad by BetterHelp. A band once said, "Work sucks, I know." And I think most people agree with them. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress from their jobs. And while walking away from your job might not be an option, taking a little time every day to focus on yourself and your mental health can make a huge difference. I know in the summer I try to get outside every day, get a little bit of sun, and just enjoy the outdoors. It really helps. At least until my allergies attack, and then it's ugly. It's important to take steps to combat work stress, and therapy can be a huge one. It's not just for overcoming trauma. Therapy can help you define work goals, set some work boundaries, develop coping skills. It's like a cheat code for life. And if you're thinking, man, I'm too busy for therapy, well, look into BetterHelp. They make therapy as convenient as possible. You can meet with one of their over 30,000 therapists online and on your schedule, just like over 5 million people around the world already have done. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/rememberthegame. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. We've had some great partners over the years here at Remember the Game, but I don't know if any of them have hit home for me quite like Hometown Hero does. No pun intended. Don't start. It's a transparent, honest cannabis company that helps people and gives back to those that have served their country at the same time. I mean, come on. As soon as I read about these guys, I knew I wanted to work with them. Hometown Hero is a cannabis company out of Austin, Texas, and they were founded back in 2015 by a U.S. veteran. They have two goals: create premium hemp products that can help everyone, and to support veterans by donating a portion of those profits to organizations set up to take care of those who have served. Hometown Hero products are of the highest quality, and everything they offer is made right there in the U.S. of A. Gummies, caramels, chocolates, drink mix. There's something for everyone. And what's more, their hemp is grown locally in Texas, which is something they should and do take a lot of pride in. And they offer certificates of analysis for everything they sell, because they want to be clear that their products are as advertised, both in terms of potency and ingredients. No contaminants, you get what you pay for. Just how they conduct business is enough to get my good eyes' attention, but when you circle back to the fact that the company was founded by a veteran and they put such heavy emphasis on supporting veterans, this isn't just lip service. I'm not reading a script I was given here. I'm proud to have Hometown Hero associated with Remember the Game. Reclaim your evening. Visit hometownhero.com and use code RTG to take 20% off your first purchase. That's hometownhero.com, code RTG for 20% off your first purchase. All right, let's get into Lufia 2. As always, I like to let you nerds sound off about the game we're covering before my guests and I hog the microphone. We had a lot of comments this week, so let's meow through a few of them here. Don't Win Friends with Salad said it's a cool mix of Final Fantasy and The Legend of Zelda, one of my all-time favorite games. It's sad it didn't get more love. It definitely has huge potential for a remaster, remake, or even a series revival. I agree with that as long as it actually fucking works all the way through this time, which we'll talk about in a second. Christopher Britt said, I bought the original SNES cartridge of this game about 5 years ago, and I loved it after playing the remake on the 3DS. I'm still shocked that the submarine shrine made it through production, and I had to fumble through the glitches for about an hour until I finally made it through. Still, one of the most heart-wrenching endings in a game. Yeah, I agreed on the ending, but that shrine, which we'll talk about, that shrine is borderline inexcusable to me. How the fuck you let a game get through with that? I have no fucking idea. Daniel was one of a few that wrote in about the Ancient Cave, which we'll talk about more in this game. But basically, it's 99 floors. It's like a roguelike. I didn't actually play that mode myself, but a lot of you wrote in praising that game. Daniel said, one of my greatest gaming achievements is making it to the bottom of the ancient cave and beating the royal jelly boss fight. The cave has 99 floors and it's random every time you go in. Fuck, that was a hard dungeon. Cheers. Congratulations on beating it. And Jamie said the ancient cave is amazing and could have had an entire game based around it. It would have been a revolutionary roguelike for its time. The rest of the game is like B tier SNES RPG, but I still enjoyed it. One thing I will say about the ancient cave is like I didn't go super explorer in this game, but like I never found it. And like I know I probably could have. I've read about it afterwards, and it does sound cool. When I read how many hours it takes to beat it, I was like, that's not fucking happening. But I do think it's a very cool idea. We'll talk about that. Arcad in Prime said this game was a special one for my family. Every Christmas Eve when I was a kid, my brother, my parents, and I would sit down and take turns working our way through the ancient cave. We would leave the SNES running overnight and pick up on Christmas morning with presents and breakfast and everything. It was a really special time in my childhood, and I always loved this game for that memory alone. Plus, we even beat the cave a couple of times. That is a fuck. My parents wouldn't let me play Nintendo on Christmas morning until we were done everything. That's a nice Christmas. And Ztrox369 said Lufia 2 is a top-tier RPG on the SNES. It's really two games in one, the main Lufia storyline and then the Ancient Cave. The cave may be one of the first roguelikes in gaming history if you think about it. A randomized dungeon where they reset your level items and gear. It was brilliant, and I spent more time on this part of the game than an already awesome game that was happening behind it. I remember just having a separate save file locked in I remember just having a separate save file just locked in on my Ancient Cave progression, because if I beat the cave, I get rare items that I can bring outside the cave, and you wouldn't be able to get them otherwise to equip during the main story, and then you continue on to beat the game as a whole. Yes. All right. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about all of it. All right. First, I'm going to talk to Jay Nasty, the one that put this game on my radar, and see what he loves about it so much. And then Captain and N and I'll ramble about it for quite a while as well. So I'm going to cue up some Lufia 2 music. It's very good. And when it stops, it's finally time to talk Lufia 2, Rise of the Sinistrals, which originally released on the Super Nintendo in North America in May of 1996. Enjoy the podcast, everybody. Let's go. All right, so I'm sure, as I mentioned during the infamous intro, this is one of the last Stupid Sexy sponsored episodes we'll be doing for quite some time. And our guest this week actually won this episode through a very generous donation to a charity event that we ran in the old Discord. Feels like about 2 years ago. I think it was about 6 months ago. And that is longtime hot dog and supporter of the show, Jay Nasty, a.k.a. Jeffrey. I feel weird calling you Nasty because talking off air, you seem like a nice guy. So I'm going to go Jeffrey. Buddy, how's it going? How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Thank you for your patience. I know this took a long fucking time. So
it was worth the wait then.
What's that?
It was worth the wait.
Yeah, well, you know what? And you know what's surprising is that it kind of was. Because I'll be honest with you, man. When you picked Lufia 2, I think most of the community knows where I stand on JRPGs. Very hot and cold. And I was like, do I have to play another JRPG? This one was quite... This is a neat little game. This is a neat little... I quite like... I want to get into it. I quite like this game. So let's start there. Why, of all the games you could have picked, why Lufia 2? Rise of the Sinistrals, or however it's pronounced.
Yeah, I think that's how I pronounce it. So I definitely wanted to do an RPG, and I didn't know if I wanted to do Angry Adam or make Adam happy. So with Lufia 2... I think Lufia 2 is probably my third favorite RPG on the Super Nintendo, behind Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger. But okay. I knew it had a lot of things that you would like in an RPG you've said over the years. It has a pretty linear storyline. It has characters that you don't have to choose your party. They give you the party.
I love that. Yeah.
And no random encounters. Well, there's a few random encounters, but it's mostly not. So I figure with those three things, you would enjoy this RPG.
Yeah, you did good, because you're right. I do. I love how linear it is. I love the minimal random encounters, and I love that I don't have to manage a giant party. So you crushed it. 3 for 3.
Yeah.
Just curious. You said you weren't sure if you wanted to go Angry Adam or Happy Adam. Had you wanted to go the angry route, did you have a game in mind?
There's two. Seventh Saga on the Super Nintendo. It's a grind-heavy RPG that actually has a game-breaking bug that if you grind too much in a certain spot, basically can't beat the game.
What
And then
the
there's
fuck? What?
yeah,
Why? 'Cause
it
did
was,
the enemies level up?
no, there's like one specific boss that levels up with you.
Oh,
It was like when they ported it from Japan to North America,
okay.
they changed the difficulty on it or something.
Oh, okay.
And the other one was called Lagoon, which is an action RPG. It's basically your Bart versus Space Mutants, where it's probably an actually bad game, but I like it. It's just the hit detection for this little sword in Lagoon is terrible. So
Okay.
it would have been
I think
it's very frustrating.
everybody has those shit games that they like anyways.
Hmm.
Like I will defend Bart versus the Space Mutants till I die, and I don't know why. It sucks, but I love that stupid game.
That's my
Um,
Lagoon.
well, I'm glad you went with Lufia 2. This is a neat
Yeah.
game. I know a lot of our listeners have never played it, so I'm gonna get more into it in a little bit. But if you never played it, classic 16-bit Super Nintendo JRPG, but it almost like it's got a little Earthbound to it. Not so much as far as the funky writing, but the like seeing the enemies on the screen, the 4 playable characters in your party, the 4 people farting, the 4 people following you around. It's got a little Earthbound to it, which kind of
Mhm.
intrigued me as well.
Yeah.
Um, why this one? Like you must have played this growing up. Then did you own this?
We did. We actually rented it a few times first because, like you said, it wasn't a very well known RPG, so it wasn't in the stores a lot. So we rented it a few times, and of course, some asshole kept erasing our file from the game. But eventually, we found it in a pawn shop of all places in our small town, and we bought it. And yeah, we just played the shit out of it.
Sick. I have you played the first? Because this is the sequel, right? Which is technically the prequel, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Yeah, I
Right.
played the first one. First one is much bare bones. It's more of a traditional random encounters.
Oh,
Just think of like Dragon Quest. It's very like
sure.
Dragon Quest heavy, but
Okay.
it's set I think 80 years in the future after the second
Oh,
one.
okay. Okay.
It's good. Like if you're a diehard RPG fan, I would definitely play the first one, but
Sure.
it's not a must play.
Okay. Okay. And you're right. Like it's fucking like it's a little shocking that a JRPG that's this decent is that hidden. But I think that's just a testament to like the Super Nintendo's JRPG lineup was
Yeah,
like I was gonna say second to none, but it's 1A 1B alongside the PS1 in my opinion.
yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah. Who do you think just quickly? Who do you think is better JRPGs, Super Nintendo or PS1? I know.
Yeah, I mean, if I had the Super Nintendo, maybe. I mean,
All
I
right.
think PS1 has more, but I think the Super Nintendo just has a few better overall.
Sure. What a like even like as someone that like, could take or leave JRPGs, even I love the most like Super Mario RPG, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, Earthbound. All
Yeah,
that Lufia too. I like it. I like it. It's in that category. It is one thing I found was it was like it's not just a little bit linear, it is like shockingly linear.
yeah. I think there's really about three side quests,
Yeah,
probably. There's a casino you can go to. There's 8 dragon eggs you can find, which just random fetch quests, and then there's the ancient cave, which is a whole game in itself.
right. Okay, and I definitely want to get into that just quickly. So I found I think 4 dragon eggs, but I never traded them in. I looked up after the game that like I guess there's like a dragon you can go find and you give them eggs and they give you items or something.
Yeah, he gives you some strong item, and then when you give him the 8 eggs, he disperses the 8 eggs across the world again, and you have to go find them again.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see. Okay. But what's wild about that though is that it's offering you these like more powerful items and stuff, but like I found this game to be incredibly easy. I died one time. Outside of the one fight against the first Sinistral you come across where he's basically going to kill you almost every time.
right.
I died one time. Like it's not a difficult game. Or maybe I grind it too much. I don't know. But I found it
Yeah,
to be easy.
yeah. I think with the way the tools and the random encounter or the non-random encounters work, it's pretty easy to undergrind or overgrind. But I think overall it is a pretty easy game. I think the hardest boss is the spider in the lava cave, kind of early on.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that was my hardest boss fight.
I struggled against near the end when you're fighting the 4 Sinistrals.
Mhm.
And there's the one that I think he's like a dragoon, like he's got like the gold armor and a big spear.
Yeah.
And he killed me the only time I died outside of that one fight against the first one, because he confused my whole party like over and over again,
Mhm.
and I couldn't get them all unconfused, and they kept killing each other. But then
Yeah.
the next time I fought him, he didn't confuse anybody.
Yeah.
So I might have just gotten lucky. I don't know, but
Yeah,
fuck.
I think that's pretty fair with that
Even
boss.
even that final boss, like I was texting you and I'm like, you're going through this final dungeon and I'm getting all these like miracles, which are like Phoenix Downs in this game. And I'm picking them all up and I'm like, dude, I haven't even needed any of these. And now it's giving me 100. And then I didn't need a single one against the final
Right.
boss. So I was like, oh, okay. Maybe they're just trying to get in my head a little bit. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can skip so many enemies that you can be way under leveled. So,
Yeah. And that was something because you mentioned this earlier. Like you get random encounters when you're on the world map, but you're not on the world map hardly at all.
no.
And when you're in the dungeons, then it looks again a little bit like Earthbound. The enemies are running around, and if you don't touch them, then they won't touch. You don't fight them.
Yeah.
And what's that?
And you also have the tools like the arrows and the grappling hook where you can stun the enemies and
Yeah,
walk around them.
yeah. It's very. I said it had a little bit of Earthbound to it. It has a lot of Link to the Past to it as well.
Yeah, that's how I explain this. Describe this game is Final Fantasy IV meets Link to the Past.
Yeah, which I messaged you early on. I was like, dude, this is sick because you're going through dungeons and a lot, especially in the earlier game, a lot of the dungeons are just solving puzzles, and then you're fighting
Mhm.
enemies that come near you, but you're just solving like basic puzzles, and you end up picking up like a bow and arrow, a bomb, a hook shot, and I'm like, fuck, you guys, like Nintendo didn't want a royalty on this, like this
Right?
is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Link to the Past to this.
Yeah. It came out
Um,
several years after Link to the Past, I think. So they
and
definitely
you see
stole.
it,
Yeah.
yeah. Did you maybe I'm just stupid, but like I had to look up 2 or 3 puzzles.
Yeah. There's a few that are really difficult. Even replaying it this time, I've probably beaten it 6, 7 times, 8 times, and
Yeah.
I still struggled on a few puzzles.
Dude, the one where you have to turn all the yellow blocks red or red yellow.
That's the exact one I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, I fucked her. So if you've never played the game, there's this puzzle where like there's a bunch of blocks and random assortments on the ground, and some are yellow and some are red, and you basically have to pick up 2 blocks and put them down somewhere else or whatever the fuck. And say you put 2 yellow blocks on either end of 3 red blocks, then the 3 red blocks all turn yellow, and it
Mhm.
expects you to make them all a different color with like 2 movements or minimal movements. And yeah, I gave up and looked it up, and I was like, I don't know if I ever would have gotten that.
No.
Like that would have been where my game rental ended right there.
Right.
So some of
Yeah.
them were really tough.
The other one that really um, messed with me was the the bushes or grass that kept growing every step you
Oh,
took, and yeah, they use like your fire arrow on those.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it's literally like Link to the Past where you're cutting down bushes, but these bushes keep regrowing, and you have to basically cut them all down, basically taking about like 4 steps before they start coming again. And you're using your bombs and you're using your fire arrows, and it's just, yeah, there's one way to solve it. Like it's like a math puzzle. There's like one way to fucking solve it. I found that quite difficult as well. I wanted to get back to, so you played this, like I played this, I'll be honest, I emulated this motherfucker.
Hmm.
This thing is not exactly readily available anywhere.
Right.
You played it on the cart, yeah, on the Super Nintendo cart.
Yes, I have.
I ran into the glitches in the submarine cave,
Hmm.
and then the end credits where like the game like can't render itself. It looks like an NES game where the things aren't lined up and it's all just blocks and lines everywhere. Are those in the cart?
Yes. Well, the ending is not in the cart. The ending should go through just fine, but
Okay.
the submarine cave is like a permanent glitch that is there, and
I'm
yeah, I'm surprised. Like I don't know how that got through.
Me too. Like, were you out of money? Like, I'm shot. Like, if you've never played it, you go to, like, fortunately, it's not like a big dungeon where there's a bunch of puzzles and enemies to fight or anything. It's just like a little dungeon you go into and you basically just get like an item in it. But you can't see anything. You're just walking around and you basically, I got lucky. I got in about 20 seconds just walking around and I got into the right place. But I
Hmm.
looked up YouTube videos where it took people like 2 or 3 minutes
Yeah.
to find the exit to this mysterious glitch dungeon, and I was shocked that they would release a game and let that stay in there. Like that really blew my mind.
There's also some glitches in the text, like on your item screen.
Yes.
Some of the items or equipment like will have the names of like other items mixed in with it, and it's clear they didn't proofread their work.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and I was like, am I going crazy? And then I was
Yeah,
like, oh no, it's the game that's calling it the ice
yeah.
ringing. So, all right.
Am I out of
Um,
touch or
yeah, yeah.
yeah?
No, it's the children who are wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Super Nintendo one had the glitches as well. So one of
Mm,
the glitches that I ran into was at the end of the game. I beat the game, and you get the scene where the two spirits are like flying around in the world.
mm,
And then when it shows the actual credit text, it's just another glitch. And that might have been a ROM issue. I don't know. But I couldn't leave the game. I couldn't, because there's a new game plus in it. I couldn't do any of that. So
right.
that's one of the things I really wanted to pick your brain about because you've had some time with that. What do you do once you can beat this game?
I so when you beat this game, I think you do have to hit reset to get to the back to the title screen.
Okay.
So when you beat the game, you can start a new quest, new file, whatever called New Game Plus, and it gives you 4 times experience and 4 times gold for your next playthrough. So
But you
obviously,
but you'd go sorry, but you'd go back to like level one.
yeah, you start at the beginning.
Okay.
So obviously, the like you said, the game is not difficult. So 4 times in your experience is quite easy. Um,
Yeah.
so you can actually beat that first Sinistral and that fight you're supposed to lose if you level up enough because of how much experience you're getting.
Oh yeah. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. So if you beat the game again on New Game Plus, you get to do like a New Game Plus Plus. I don't know if that's what it's called, but so basically, the New Game Plus Plus will allow you to play the Ancient Cave only on that file.
So
So,
wait, so
okay.
you can't play the regular game. You can only play the ancient cave.
Yes, on that second, after you beat
Okay.
the game twice.
Okay. Now, so is the ancient cave not accessible until you've beaten the game twice?
No, you can reach the
Like I
Ancient
could have
Cave.
gone there, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
in the game when you get access to a ship,
Yeah.
like you have to choose like I want to go to this town or this town. If you choose the second town, that's the town for the ancient cave. So you can do it
Oh.
kind of early in the game.
Okay. I didn't I ended up going there and after and that's one of the things that makes me nervous about reviewing JRPGs is people are always like, "Oh, you missed X, Y, and Z from the game," but I knew I was going to miss some stuff in this game. And then I looked up what all the ancient cave entails and I was like, I was never playing through that anyways.
Right.
Like
It's
that
a
is big.
yeah, it's a separate game in itself, really.
Yeah. So what I have never I assume that you have spent some time in the ancient cave then.
Yes. Yeah, I've never
So
beaten it. That's on my gaming bucket list. But basically, the ancient cave is you get 4 party members. Like if you go through New Game Plus Plus, you can choose any 4 party members you want to go into the ancient cave,
oh
and it's
sick.
yeah, yeah. So you can bring back Dakar because he's my favorite.
Me too.
Um, you can bring so you start off in the cave level one, no items, no equipment. All your characters are level one, but you're fighting level one enemies.
Okay.
Um, and it's all randomly generated. So, but you can't use your tools either, like to stun enemies. And there's no puzzles or anything. You just fight your way to the bottom. And there's 99 levels. So at the
Jesus.
end, there's a giant jelly that you have to fight and defeat in 3 turns. Um,
What? In 3 turns?
right, yeah,
Is it oh, I guess you said you've never done it. So it's probably not very easy to do.
right. You have to do so much damage. I've
Okay.
watched people like I watched a playthrough of someone doing it. Yeah, it's not easy, but
Yeah. And
but
sorry, so if you at any time if you leave this cave, is it like is that just game over or do you just play until you die?
there's a little bit to it too. So as you're going through this cave, you're going to find orange treasure chests, just like normal treasure chests, and then
Okay.
you can find blue treasure chests. The orange ones you can use those items for that run, for that like playthrough.
Oh, okay, I see.
And then for the blue treasure chests, those are items you can keep for the next run through, but only if you find an item called the Providence that comes up I think at level 30 and later, and it's all random. Like
Okay.
it could be level 83 and like you're struggling to survive and trying to find this Providence. But if you use the Providence, you can keep all your blue items, and they're usually really good items, like really strong swords. So you're going to the next run through with like the most powerful sword and like crushing jellies on level 1. So you just kind of have to. It's a roguelike. Like you
Right.
know get as far as you can, keep the blue treasure chest, and then just do another run through.
That's a great idea. Like that adds
Mhm.
so much replay. Like if you had gotten this game as a kid and it was like, well, that's my game for the next year.
Yeah,
That's smart. Like that adds, I would argue, like infinite replayability.
yeah, and it's pretty impressive for a Super Nintendo game to have that level of detail and like randomly generated floors and
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah. I guess that was the time they didn't spend testing that
right,
fucking submarine cave. They were like, well, we put all our time into the ancient cave. Fuck off. We're working.
right.
All right.
I think there is a glitch with the giant jelly. I've read that there's a strategy if you kill yourself, like if you defeat yourself in 3 turns, like it also counts as a win.
Okay. I
It's weird, but
I was just reading that if you fight the dragon, I think it's the dragon you cash your eggs in at.
hmm
The final fight against it, I think, is like one of the toughest fights in the game. But I guess the dragon's HP is at the very
yeah,
limit of what the game can do.
yeah,
So if you heal it first, it rotates it back basically to 0 and then up to like, if you healed it for 30, then he basically would start the fight with 29 HP
right,
because he would go back to 0 and then start at the beginning again. And I was like, man, who finds these? That's what I want to know is who finds these glitches.
yeah.
But that's a great glitch though. I like that.
Also find out
Um,
how they missed that again,
I don't get
but
it either. Yeah.
yeah,
So I have a couple more questions for you here before we run this out. In
okay,
addition to having your playable team of 4, you have your one like capsule monster with you.
yes.
I didn't find all of them. I found 5 of them, I think. Did you have a favorite?
For the ancient cave, I like the one that heals you.
Okay.
But in like a regular playthrough, I like I think it's like the Earth one, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't remember all right now, but there's
I,
usually one that attacks is usually one of
yeah.
my
I
favorite
rolled
ones.
the fire dragon and just got him to like maximum level, and he was like
hmm
pretty handy most of the time.
Yeah, I thought it was a
So,
nice little addition. Like it's not necessary. He's not that important, but every once in a while he'll hit and kind of
oh
save
yeah.
your ass.
Yeah, dude. There was 2 things about the combat in this game I really liked, and one was that you always had that monster there to help you, and
hmm
it was you don't get to control them like they do a random attack each time, but it was still cool that you had that fifth helper. And then the other thing I thought was really neat was the I can't remember what it was called, but the attacks that basically come with your weapons, the IP.
Yeah, IP.
Yeah. And so like when you play the game, you have your hit points, your magic points. You also have your IP at the bottom, and every time you take damage from the enemy, your IP fills up. And then whatever equipment you have, equipped, some of it comes with special abilities that you can cash in your IP to use, like spells. And it gives somebody like Guy, who doesn't have any magic, a chance to use a couple of cool abilities. And I didn't get super into like mixing and matching my equipment. I just went with the strongest equipment, and then if it came with a
Right.
cool ability, then bonus. But I thought that added a lot of depth to the combat as well. For such a linear game, they really did add a lot of depth to a couple of these little things.
Yeah, I always thought they were kind of like limit breaks from like Final Fantasy VII or
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah, great comparison. And dude, and some of those things will fuck enemies up.
Oh yeah. It was like
Like,
3 times ice attack, and if he's weak against ice, you're doing
yeah,
crazy damage.
you're steamrolling. But
Yeah.
like, I also found that with that, I think that's one of the things that made the game so easy because I was never struggling to heal because one or two of my characters always had healing abilities in their like weapons. And
hmm
so every second or third attack or armor, whatever the fuck. So every second or third battle, I could just use those abilities and heal everybody.
Yeah.
Like, which again, I'm good with that. Hey, it's linear. I'm not getting lost. It's not making me manage a party. Minimal random encounters, and it wasn't very hard. That was all the boxes checked for me
Right.
in a JRPG. Before we wrap this up and get a score from you, first of all, thank you so much for turning me on to this.
Yeah.
Thank you for turning me on to this game.
Yeah.
Neat little game. Is there anything from Lufia 2 that you're like, I have to tell the world that you haven't had a chance to say yet?
I think the only criticism I have with this game is the story is kind of lacking at times. Like
Yes,
I thought
agreed.
there's some fluff missions where like you get to a town and the rich guy in town won't let you pass a shrine, so you go to like some cave to look for a ruby apple, and it's like I'm supposed to save the world. Like this is I shouldn't be in this cave. Like I should be
Yeah.
in the next town. But
I found the whole game was like that. You basically get to a town, you go do
hmm
something for somebody, then they open up the path to the next town.
yeah. But
So
some seem a little more relevant. Some seem kind of ridiculous.
Agreed. Agreed.
But
Um,
but no, I mean, this has been a childhood favorite. I think, like I said earlier, it's probably my third favorite Super Nintendo RPG, just ahead of Super Mario RPG. Um, I think for some JRPGs, like you get maybe bored or annoyed having to go to another cave, but I thought
mhm.
every cave was fun. Like there was new little challenges, new little puzzles that kept it fresh. Like they didn't repeat themselves a lot in dungeons. I thought, I just, I thought every step of it was fun. So that's,
Agreed. I do get bored of RPGs. That's my big problem with them is I get bored by the end. And this one kept me interested. Admittedly, the story wasn't anything to write home about, but it was I genuinely it is like playing through Zelda dungeons. It's you have a
hmm
sword and your abilities and you can cut down bushes and pick up pots and solve puzzles. The only difference is instead of fighting enemies with your sword in action in real time, whenever you touch an enemy, it takes you to the JRPG screen. And I think that's what kept me coming back was
yeah,
the solving of the puzzles and stuff like that.
yeah. I mean, this might be a hot take, but I think they do puzzles and dungeons design better than Link to the Past. Um, I, I felt like you didn't have to repeat a puzzle. Like once you did it in Lufia 2, you didn't have to like redo it every time.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
didn't have to spend a lot of time doing that.
I can get on board with that. I will say there wasn't a single dungeon in this game that pissed me off as much as the Ice Temple does in The Link to the Past.
Right?
Oh, fuck, I hate that
Yeah.
Ice Temple so much. Fuck me. It was a neat game. I'm surprised. I mean, I guess I'm not surprised because again, truth be told, it just didn't sell that great. It kind of got lost in the shuffle of RPGs on the Super Nintendo. But for the amount of people that have written in and been like, I've never heard of this game. If you're an
hmm
emulator, if you like to do the old tinkering under the hood of your consoles and stuff, and you've never played this, I highly recommend. If you like JRPGs, it's worth it. It's worth it. I think it's a neat little game. I quite enjoyed it. It's not the deepest game in the world, but I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah, you're not gonna find a very cheap cartridge these days. So
No, you
emulation
are
is
not.
probably the best.
Yeah, absolutely. I do, if I'm not mistaken, is there not a port of it on the DS?
They remade it on the DS, but they turned it into an action RPG,
Oh,
and I don't know how the dungeon design is, but I've never played it. I heard some people really like it and other people hate it. So
I got it. That seems to be the case with every game.
yeah.
Well, Nate, though, dude, truth be told, Jeffrey, I never would have touched this game had it not
hmm
been for you picking it. So good
Also,
call.
yeah, I knew this game would never win a poll either, so that's why I
No,
figured I'd pick it.
yeah, neat. It's genuinely one of the coolest surprises I've ever experienced
hmm
on Remember the Game was this. I went into this game admittedly being like, I'm gonna hate this. Let's just get it over with. Another fucking RPG. And by the time I was done, I'm like, I wouldn't put it in the Earthbound Final Fantasy II Mario RPG conversation, but it's that next tier down for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Quite
I can
like
get
it.
on by. Yeah, and I think this also, like when you play Golden Sun, you'll see some similarities with like the puzzle mechanics and dungeons.
Sure. I'm
So
I'm looking forward to Golden Sun. I'm gonna fire that one up next week. I'm quite looking forward to that.
they have random encounters, so
Ah,
be yeah, yeah,
fuckers. I
already,
hate random encounters.
yeah,
We need a scoring scale, and you had recommended 7 playable characters, which I think is a
yeah,
good system.
yeah.
Also, for you RPG makers, that's a good number of playable characters. We don't need 80. 7 is a good
hmm
number. I like that.
Yeah.
Um, out of 7, what would you give Lufia 2 Rise of the Sinistrals?
I would give it 6.5 playable characters out of 7, just because it is not Final Fantasy 6 and Chrono Trigger, and just to take a little bit off because of the story not being super deep. I just
Yeah.
think there's a little too much fluff at times.
Yeah, I agree on that. Yeah, they
But
they spent about 8 minutes writing the story to this.
yeah, but that being
But
said, the ending did does kind of punch you in the face,
yeah, absolutely.
like for not being that deep of a story.
No. I like it. I like it. I'll give my score here in a few minutes
hmm
after we rant about this game a little bit more. Jeffrey, thanks again, brother, for coming on the show. Thank you for all your support of RTG over the years, and thank you for your patience because I know this took me a long time, but I hope it
No,
was worth it. This game was dope.
yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, so joining me via the blank phone this week, I guess the second person. The blank phone is blowing up the blank phone this week. Joining me to talk more Lufia II, Rise of the Sinistrals, is Captain, not to be mistaken with the video game hero from the animated show. I think this guy is just the biggest fan of the letter N. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Anything
Yes.
that begins with the letter N is what I collect.
It's a
Like
good letter. Yeah,
nothing.
that'd be a funny collection. Like just random shit in a room. Like, what is this? This is everything that starts with the letter N. This is my collection. That'd be awesome, actually. My nephew. Sorry, I don't mean to get on a tangent
Oh, my
already,
mind went
but
to a dark place.
yeah, my yeah, my nephew Ben had went through this phase. He got out of it, fortunately, which was good. But he went through this phase where he was only collecting really bad video games, and it was
Okay.
like Hannah Montana DS games, and like just all the worst stuff. And that was what he was like, someday I want to have a room full of just bad video games. Uh,
That's really interesting, actually.
Yeah, it was really funny. And like the video game stores here in Edmonton loved him because every time he came to town, he would go in and buy the like $1.99 shit games that nobody else was buying.
Awesome.
But then eventually he was like, well, this is a waste of my money. And I was like, yes, it's the video games are great, but yes, these are a waste of
Yeah,
you didn't have the
1,000
systems.
years or a million years in the future, archaeologists are going to dig up this ruin with Hannah Montana games.
Yeah. And they're not gonna like I don't listen, like there's like you want to I was like, you want to collect like Earthbounds? Sure, like put those in a safety deposit box. But I was like, Hannah Montana's big car adventure on the DS is never going to be worth more than $2.99.
Yeah,
So let's not do this.
you never know.
Anyway,
Someday.
yeah, maybe. Who knows? Maybe yeah. What if she like turns out to be like a serial killer or
What if
something?
she
And then it's
turns
like,
out to be Miley Cyrus?
oh, I like Miley Cyrus. Anyways, now that we've wasted enough of the audience's time, let's get back to Lufia 2. And if we're talking about games to collect, this is one that you will not get for $2.99.
No, this
So
one's. How much does this one go for? I forgot to look it up before we started.
you want to know the honest truth? I didn't check eBay, but when Jeffrey picked this game, I usually look because I'm like, I don't mind. And I've made this abundantly clear. When it comes to emulation, if a game's not available from the rights holder, and my only choice is to buy it at like a flea market or eBay or whatever the fuck, then I'll emulate it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
But I do like to buy the occasional physical copy of games just for the, I guess I got a little bit of the collector's bug back. This one, I checked the 2 or 3 video game stores that I buy games from regularly. None of them even had a copy. And then I didn't even bother. I didn't even waste my time with eBay. I just was like, I don't think I can afford this game. So
yeah,
I'll try price charting right now and see.
yeah. The same thing with me is I didn't I have a small store just by my house here, and I haven't seen this game around, which is kind of odd because I used to have a copy back when I had my Super Nintendo collection, but I never played it.
Yeah. Loose price $140, complete in box $317.
And that's
So,
American prices, right?
and that's American, and we're Canadian, so that's basically a house
Yeah,
for a copy of Lufia
retire
2.
off that.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny though you said that. You're like, I've never seen this game anywhere. Like I love the Super Nintendo. It's well known that I love the Super Nintendo. Am I the world's biggest JRPG fan? No, but as Jeffrey and I just talked about a couple of minutes ago, one of the things that the Super Nintendo is most known for is its legendary RPG lineup. And even with that in mind, I don't think I'd ever even heard of this game until Jeffrey picked it. So,
That's
had you? Like, did
yeah.
you?
I've heard of the game before. Like it's always been around, but it's like up on the wall in the rental store there. You always see it, but it's like the same time that Mario's RPG came out, so it just kind
Yeah.
of fiddled away into the distant past, and I just forgot about it.
Yeah, and I think that's Lufia's problem, a big part of their problem, because I don't believe this game sold particularly well. Hence why it's so expensive now. I think part of its problem is just that it did get kind of lost in the shuffle of like so Jeffrey and I were just talking about this. The 2 greatest JRPG lineups of all time, in my opinion, are the Super Nintendo and the PS1.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can get on board with that.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm like, so if you're like one of the also rans in these lineups that are just insane, then it's pretty easy for you to get lost in the shuffle, right? And when you look at Lufia 2 and you're like, well, that's on the same system that has Final Fantasy 2 and Final Fantasy 3 and Chrono Trigger and Earthbound and Mario RPG and the list goes on and on. I get why it gets lost. And I have to say, now that I've played through this game, it's a little bit of a shame that it got lost, because I don't think this game is as good as an Earthbound or a Final Fantasy 2 or 3, but this is a pretty okay JRPG.
Oh, this game definitely would have fell into my rotation of Super Nintendo games I play over and over again for sure. Like I'll probably
Yeah.
end up playing this one again because there's still that ancient cave to go through.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to get there. And I know for those of you, I know a lot of you listening to this have probably never played or heard of Lufia 2. Straight up, we are going to be spoiling some stuff. Don't sweat it. Like the only way you can play it is to go emulate it. So if you want to emulate it, go ahead. As you're about to hear, frankly, I don't. I will speak on behalf of Captain N. I don't think the story in this game is anything to write home about to begin with. But we are going to spoil some stuff. And those of you that have played the game, a lot of people ask me about the ancient cave. We'll get there too. I did not try the ancient cave, and Captain N didn't either. But we will get into why and how I still think it's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
But let's start at the start, dude. Where I know I'm putting you on the spot. It's kind of a loaded question. Where would you rank this in like Super Nintendo JRPGs that you've played? Like, does it crack your top like 5?
Had you asked me that question 2 minutes ago, I actually have a file going on my computer of my favorite RPGs on the Super Nintendo, and it's ranked on there now.
You nerd. I love it.
I know.
No,
Oh,
I
no,
like it.
I didn't actually put a score on it, so
I
call me
because
a
like
liar. Looking at the ones I do have on the list, I'd probably put it in either really close to number 10 or maybe just above.
okay. Yeah, I for myself, like Earthbound, Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3, Super Mario RPG, like it can't touch any of those.
No.
Um, but if I'd played this as a kid, I think I would have loved it. And as an adult, like now, I was like this. So if you've not played it, it's classic JRPG in some senses. You know, you control this team, you're out to save the world, you're buying swords and shields and magic and stuff, and you're going from town to town, dungeon to dungeon, trying to stop people. And when you do get into fights, it does go to the classic JRPG screen with the enemies lined up on the. I actually really like the fighting screen because it kind of looks like Earthbound's fighting screen, except it's not first person.
Yeah, and the puzzles in the game give it a Zelda-esque like feel too.
Yeah, yeah, and that's I'm gonna get to. I think that's the coolest part of this game. And so that's what it is. When you're in combat, it's a JRPG. You have your team lined up. The enemies are lined up. Everyone just kind of flinches when they attack, and then you have your hit points and stuff at the bottom. But when you're not in combat, like Captain N just said, it really does become Link to the Past. You're in these dungeons. You have to solve puzzles. You're throwing bombs and shooting arrows and using a hook shot. And frankly, there's a lot of Link to the Past DNA in this fucking game. Quite frankly.
Yeah.
But that's what I loved about it so much. I love that like you don't have to manage a giant party. Frankly, the game is incredibly linear, which some would say is a strike. I think it's a plus. I loved the puzzle aspect because I get bored of JRPGs, and like I hate it. Like, listen, Final Fantasy 3 on the Super Nintendo is like one of the greatest RPGs of all time. I can't imagine
Absolutely.
anyone would disagree with that.
If they do, they should stop listening now.
Yeah, like, and I don't even like
Go.
RPGs that much. I'm like, this is one of the goats. But like, there's no puzzles. You just go into the temples and you find treasures and fight enemies.
Yeah.
And I much preferred this one where I'm walking around solving puzzles. All the enemies are right there on the screen, so if I don't want to fight them, it's easy to avoid them.
Actually, the enemies are part of the puzzles in some cases, which was a nice touch.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I thought like yeah. So okay, well we have the story, we have the puzzles, we have the combat. Let's just tackle the puzzles first because I think those are the coolest part of the game. Usually I do the bad stuff first, but I want to start with the puzzles. So when you go into these dungeons, most of them have a few puzzles to solve, and they started to get pretty complex. And like Captain N just said, dude, a couple of the ones I had to look up were the ones where there's like a switch you need to stand on to open the door on the other side of the room. But as soon as I get off the switch, the door in the room closes, and there's no pots or anything to put on the switch. And then
Yeah.
I looked it up, and they're like, "Oh, you have to steer the enemy in the room onto
There
the
was
switch."
one like that you had to get two enemies on like opposite switches, and you had to like stun them for long enough to not walk off.
Yes.
Because the enemies move when you move. So if you take a step, the enemy takes a step.
Yeah.
So that's where the puzzle aspect of that comes in because you can stun them with your weapons. And that one puzzle, and it was fairly early in the game, I believe, but I could not do it for like 30 minutes. I was just sat there trying to get these two friggin' enemies to sit on the button.
One of the issues I ran into with those puzzles was when I'd go into a room, if I just saw like one enemy standing there, I was like, well, I'm just gonna go kill him, and then I'll figure out the puzzle. And so I'd go fight the one enemy and kill them, and then And then I'm like, okay, so now I have a switch. There's a door over there. I have nothing to put on this switch. And then I almost like I fuck around with it for so long I forget there was an enemy there. And then I
Oh
look it
yeah,
up, and then they're like, "Oh, just get the enemy to go on." And I'm like, "Oh." And then it gives you this handy little thing where you can pause the screen and hit reset. Or you can pause any room and hit
yeah,
reset. And basically the game the room just goes back to square one. All the enemies come back, everything goes back to
yeah.
normal.
And that
And
came in handy on those color blocks where you had to kind of move them around to make like a Tetris like
oh,
color chain there, and I had
yeah.
to use the reset so many friggin' times.
That dude, and I gotta say, massive tip of my cap to whatever developer was like, you know what? If we're gonna make people, presumably mostly kids back in '96, if we're gonna have people going into this solving these puzzles, we should just put a way for them to like reset really easily. And it
Yeah.
kind of breaks the fourth wall for the guy that's like training you at the beginning of the game to be like, if you pause and then pick the sand dial, you'll just reset the room and you can start again. But I was like, that's so much better than making me like leave the room and walk back in and
Oh, that is definitely a game changer.
brilliant. Because some of these puzzles, dude, like you mentioned those blocks. Jeffrey and I talked about it too. Those red and yellow blocks, I was probably on those blocks for half an hour.
Yeah.
And then I finally the last set of them.
Yeah, and
Uh
there's some rooms there where, you'd push a block into a wall or something like that, and you could reset and, figure out your mistake.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
without that reset, I probably would have turned the game off.
Oh, that reset was a godsend because I got stuck as fuck on those blocks, man. Those Jeffrey mentioned it. That puzzle where you have to burn all of the bushes
Oh, yeah.
that keep growing back is like every like 3 steps. That one fucked with me quite a bit. I had to look that one up. And I'm embarrassed, but I had to look up. There's one where there's like 5 musical switches.
Oh, I had to look that one up too.
Did you?
Yeah.
I was so close, but the 5th switch I couldn't get to it because it was blocked by all the everything else in the room. So I
Yeah, and
looked
it
it up
was
and uh
such a stupid, obvious answer too to that one.
right? When I looked it up and they're like, use your hook shot and it'll pull you to the last block. And I was like, you fucking dunce.
That happened to me a couple of times there where I forgot I had tools to use, so I didn't rotate them through. Like, there's one where you have to shoot arrows into the eyes on the wall,
Yep.
and I would, like, go around the room, nothing was changing, and it took me forever to remember I actually have arrows and I could hit the eye on the wall, even though I'd already done it before.
Oh, the only reason I got that one was because I've played through Link to the Past like a billion times and they blatantly stole that.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the only reason I got that. But because you're right, like, and that's one of the cool things I like about this game too, is you're not just solving these puzzles where you're going through these dungeons. Like I said, no random encounters. The enemies are just walking around, so you can fight them or avoid them if you want to. But then you also have this as you go through the game, you pick up a variety of weapons. You got like a bow and arrow, you got a hook shot, you've got the hammer, which is basically a mace.
Yeah.
You've got the bombs. And you can use those not just to like solve puzzles, but you can use them to stun enemies. You can use them to like, again, there's a little Zelda in here, blow up walls and find secret rooms and stuff behind them. You're cutting down bushes and stuff. And I really, that's what kept me hooked. I get so bored of JRPGs when it's 30 plus hours of just walking around and hitting attack over and over again.
Yeah, and that was nice about this. Also, without the random encounters, it really encouraged you to explore a little bit more, knowing full well you weren't gonna have an extra 15 fights.
100%. Yeah. Yes. Because that's one of the things that kills off my enjoyment of exploring is I'm like, fuck, I would love to see what's in these 3 rooms, but every 3 steps, I'm getting triggered into another fight that I'm bored of at this point. And this game, I don't know what it was about it. I like, cause I want to get into the combat in a minute too, because there's a lot more layers to the combat too. But this one just it kept me intrigued. And I think a lot of it was the puzzles are incredibly well done. There's a couple that I was like, I don't know how the fuck I ever would have solved that. Like that fucking red and yellow bricks puzzle. But
Yeah,
for the most
that
part,
was
I
just
thought the
trial and
puzzles were
error.
really well designed.
Yeah, it's yeah, without the puzzles, like you said, this would be just a straight up dungeon crawling RPG. But those
Yeah.
just the time it takes to solve the puzzle, and then you got the plaques on the wall to give you a hint,
Yes.
and that really kind of for me that was really good because the hint was usually what set off the little alarm in my head that told me what I had to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
having the hint actually made the game go a little bit faster without me having to run to the computer to look up the walkthrough all the time.
Totally. And I thought the hints were really well done. They were fair. Like they weren't like, hey, dumbass, do this. Like
Yeah,
they were just enough to kind of push you, give you a nudge in the right direction.
yeah, really well
Um,
done for sure.
yeah. And the thing about it is you kind of you mentioned this kind of a little bit. Without the puzzles, I really don't think I'll be honest, without the puzzles, I think this is like a 6 out of 10 RPG. Like the
No, if
story's nothing to
that.
write home about. The combat is okay, but
Like, the puzzles are what makes this game for in my opinion, like,
yeah,
the dungeons themselves, we'll probably get into a bit later, it's a repetition of every section of the game, but the dungeons and the different puzzles and all of them is what really makes this game stand out.
totally. Like if you've never played this game but you have played Link to the Past, like I think the best way I could describe this game is Link to the Past, but every time you touch an enemy instead of just attacking them with your sword, it goes to a JRPG fight.
Yeah, Link to the
Like
Past slams into Final Fantasy.
yeah, so that was really like I genuinely really enjoyed that. And then I like that some of the temples, like the temples were big, but I didn't find them overwhelmingly big where I was like, fuck, did I go down this hall? Did I go down this hall? There were a couple of alternate directions you could go to get like hidden items and to get like dragon eggs and stuff.
Yeah.
But like the rest of the game, I felt that for the most part it was definitely more linear than not, which I'm a fan of because I hate getting
90% of
lost.
the time I had to backtrack was because I missed the room with the, key to the final door.
Yeah, yeah. And that, while we're talking about the puzzles and the dungeons, is one of the many things that this game I don't know if it's a strike or not, but boy, it's repetitive. We'll get into the story and the villages and stuff in a minute, but when you're in these dungeons, basically every dungeon you have to go in and 90% of them you're looking for an item for somebody, be it like a treasure or a weapon or whatever the fuck. And basically, not basically, every single dungeon, somewhere there's a key. Again, like Zelda, and you have to find the key. That'll open a door that'll get you to the boss to wrap up the like every single dungeon. There's
Yeah.
really no. The puzzles are great, and I think the layout of the dungeon is well done. But there's not a ton of original concepts here.
Yeah, and some of the keys are off the beaten path as well, so it's kind of like, do you take door number 1 or door number 2? And
Yeah,
then, you take one of the doors and the key just happens to be in the other one, so you warp out and you start from the beginning again and take the other door and you find it right away.
yeah, absolutely. It was nice when you guessed right because you're right. Practically every dungeon had like a fork in the road fairly early on, and then you had to decide like, do I left or right?
Yeah,
And one is
it
the
got to the
key, and
point
one
where
is
if I
the
didn't
end.
get the
The
key
end.
within the first, first 2 floors, I would actually backtrack and look for another way.
Yeah, because you're like it should be given it to you fairly early. So I don't know. I genuinely I enjoyed the dungeons quite a bit. I will say the only random encounters in this game are when you're in the overworld, which I fucking hate random encounters. But fortunately, in about the 30 hours that I played this game, I think I was on the overworld for about 25 minutes.
Yeah, but see, I'm gonna contradict you on this one because I actually enjoyed the random encounters on the overworld uh, kind of aspect of this game because when I needed to do a little bit of grinding just to get money for equipment, just sitting there doing back and forth on the overworld, and they pay out pretty good, so you're not grinding for too long to get the money and the few levels you need.
No,
So
you're not.
I
I
I
Go ahead.
enjoyed the random battles just between cities. That's normally when I did it.
Right. And you are right that it does make it easy. I got to say like maybe it's cuz I was fighting too many enemies in the dungeons, but like I had so much money basically this entire game.
Yeah, by the end of the game, I could buy anything I wanted. Like I didn't even need to finish the game. I could have gone and bought my own island, and
Yeah. And just been like fuck it. They're not going to blow me up. I'm leaving. Fuck
yeah,
this.
exactly. I had more
Uh
money than I could actually spend in this game.
yeah, so much money cuz there's really not that much to spend. Like your party always consists of at most 4 people. Uh and then each one can equip 6 items, I think. And the last couple categories of items are like magical items and stuff that you find in dungeons. So basically, you're just equipping a weapon, a shield, an armor, and a helmet, and then a couple of
Yeah,
like special items. So
and an
like,
accessory and a rock.
right, yeah. So like every village you go into, you're buying the new weapons and the new armor, which I hate doing in big RPG party games, but I love doing in small RPG party games because
Yeah,
it's quick and painless. You do that, and then you're like, now what do I do with all this money? Because you buy spells too, because you don't earn spells by leveling up. You buy them, but there's not a like. I didn't. I mean, I bought practically every spell I could find, and I didn't even use like 3/4 of them.
I stuck to. There's one. What was it called? It was a fire spell, the most powerful one you can get. And once I got that, I didn't need another spell.
Yeah, I found I was using a lot of the. I used champion, like the strongest healing spell, a lot,
Yeah,
and valor. whatever the Life 2 spell was when I needed it. And then near the end of the game, when you have the elf, he's got the one white magic spell that I used a ton. But other than that, like I basically just used my weapon abilities when I needed magic.
Oh yeah, see, I used what's it called, Firebird.
Firebird, yeah, I
Yeah.
use that a lot with whatever. I can't remember the name of any of the characters, and I
Oh,
just finished this game. But the one female in your party at the end, she used
so
Firebird a lot.
memorable.
Yeah, fuck. So
Celan.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, and then even items, dude, like I bought so many potions and I never used them because I always had so much magic that I didn't need my potions.
Yeah, but
And
that was another
like,
thing about this game. There's no way to is there an item to have like to replenish your magic? Because I don't remember there being one.
yes, there was because I had like a half a dozen of them. They weren't sold anywhere. You had to like find them. And then
Okay,
I
maybe that
never,
was
I
it.
never used one the entire playthrough, not once.
Yeah, I used to like when I'd go through the dungeons, I'd just attack with everybody because everybody had a pretty good just base attack without
Yeah, they
using
did.
magic, and then it was only on the bosses or difficult enemies I'd use magic.
I found it on that note, and we kind of can segue into the battling system here. I actually, as a whole, found the game incredibly easy. Like
Yeah,
apparently that cave is not. We'll get into that. I didn't do the cave, but as far as the actual gameplay itself, I died on the fight where you fight the first Sinistral when you meet him, and he's kind of supposed to kill you.
yeah,
I died there, and then right near the end of the game where you have to fight all four of them, kind of one after another. The second one, the golden armored dragoon looking guy, he killed us once because he confused everyone and they just kept killing each other.
oh,
But that was it. Like that was the only game over I got for the entire playthrough
see,
without
I
using
never,
like any items or anything. It's just not
yeah,
hard.
I was so over leveled by the time I got to the end of the game, the fights weren't even a challenge. Like just
Yeah,
because
same.
once I got lost in a dungeon there, I just kept fighting everything until I figured it out.
Same here. Yeah, I wondered that too if I was over leveled, and I'm like I must be because even the dude in the when you're getting ready for the final boss fight, like you're going through the final castle or whatever the fuck it is, the final dungeon, and there's miracles everywhere, which are like Phoenix Downs in this game, and they're not easy to get because you can't buy them in stores. And I'm picking up all these miracles, and I'm like, holy fuck, this game must be getting ready to just fuck me up. And then it was just like, no, I just cakewalked through it. Nobody even got knocked out. I won,
Yeah,
and I was like, what? Like it was frankly, maybe the easiest RPG I've ever played.
yeah, which is kind of disappointing in a way.
A little. Like I get dude, like have you've played Final Fantasy 2, right? 4.
Yeah,
There's a boss in that game, like that's probably the RPG I know best other than Earthbound. There's a boss in that game that's like a wall and it like keeps climbing towards you and it can fuck you up if it gets to you.
yeah.
I
That
hate that. You know who I'm talking about?
no, I do know what you're talking about. That wall has killed me many of times.
I hate that fucking wall. And so like when a boss in a JRPG just absolutely wrecks me, then I just get angry. But when the game is too easy, I'm like, oh, I wish they'd have put up a little bit more of a fight.
Yeah,
So I
it's
just can't be
fine
pleased, I
balance.
guess. What's
But I
that?
mean, it's a fine balance for sure. Like this is back in the day before they had auto leveling or matching levels to your characters, so they kind of
Yeah.
had to guess what level you'd be at when you got there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I, not to oh, I'm just looking here. The company that made this game, Neverland, filed for bankruptcy in 2013. Um it I know this is a sequel, so it's not their first game, I assume, but like it kind of felt like a developer's first RPG. Like I just felt like some of the balancing was off. It was easy. There wasn't a lot of depth to like it felt like you were just dude, you have so many items in this game that I'm like I'm never going to use any of these. Like and then not to mention the glitches and stuff which we'll get to as well.
Yeah,
Uh it just didn't feel like it was a fun game. Like I'd love to see it remade.
it has been
Um
remade.
Yeah, but like, so Jeffrey and I talked about that, but he said the DS one is like they changed the combat to like action RPG and
Oh,
stuff.
did they? Like I
Yeah.
have the game DS game sitting in my collection there. Again, it's another one I've had for years. I just haven't played yet.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah, he said they like got away from like the JRPG aspect of the combat and stuff.
uh,
Um, like I'd like to see this one. Like I like the combat in this game. Just put a little bit more zip on it, and maybe fucking a few less items. Like a few
yeah,
less. I don't know, because
maybe
they're all just
less of a
useless.
payout at the end.
Yeah. Holy fuck, we're at 25 minutes already. Okay, listen, let's pause here. We'll let a sponsor peddle their wares so that I can afford more magic spells. And then when we get back, I want to talk about the combat, the story, and we have to talk about the glitches and we still have a lot to get to. So we'll be right back. We'll be right back. So Jeffrey and I got into the combat, but I wanted to get your opinion on it. I gotta say, it's not just like the basic attack, magic spell, defender, or item. Uh, I like that that some equipment in the game come with magic spells like attached to them, and you use your IP that you. It's like Jeffrey said, it's like a limit break. When you take damage, it fills up, and you can use it to
Yeah.
do different attacks. I found myself using those more than my magic.
Yeah, especially when it came to boss fights and stuff like that. Like I'd always let the gauge fill up, uh, and then just unload on the boss fight there because usually you get a couple of really good shots with some of your equipment there. At the end, I think the equipment I had actually increased the strength of my party, and like two of them had the piece of equipment that did that. So when I strengthened my characters, they were hitting for like just massive amounts of
Yeah.
damage. So I love
It,
that IP system.
and you mentioned it earlier, there's a very big lack of MP replenishing items in this game, whereas your IP refills every time you get hit. So I was like, I magic was like a last resort to me. I was like, I'm gonna go to the IP because I don't have to worry about running out of it.
Yeah, and
So
exactly that. Like there was healing spells in it. There was fire attack spells. There was like as powerful spells as you can buy inside some of the armor you got. So it made it really worth kind of paying attention to what you're equipping.
yeah, absolutely. It just the one thing about it was, and again, it's common refrain here, but like I did find it just added to the simplicity. Like it made the game again just boy, it's really not a hard game.
No.
Like, and that added to it. Plus, not only have you got these extra spells with your limit break things from your weapons and armor and stuff, but so you have 4 party members that don't die very often, that have practically an endless lineup. Like, dude, there were a couple of boss fights where like they would hit my whole party for big damage and like take out 2/3 of their health bar. But every time they hit them, they gave me enough IP to cast a super strong healing spell that just refilled all my HP.
Yeah.
And so that's every turn I would just refill my HP and then just, rinse and repeat. So 3 guys were attacking and 1 was healing.
Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty much the same strategy I used.
yeah. But in addition to that, you also have these capsule monsters that you find throughout the game, and they come across like summons, but basically what
Bunch
they
of
are
Pokemon.
like yeah, like Pokemon, yeah. But
Bunch
like
of
they're
Pokemon.
always just sitting there beside your team as like a fifth party member. You can't see their stats and you don't control them. They just do a random attack every turn. But
When did you
as the
find
game
your
goes on,
first one?
you can feed them like weapons and armor to level them up and make them stronger. And again, it just makes the game so much easier, but I still thought it was a pretty cool little bonus system too.
It was. When did you find your first one?
The little fluffy guy near the beginning, the white
Oh,
fluffy
really?
guy.
Because I didn't find my first one until the radish guy.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, way, way late in the game there. And
Oh,
I didn't know what to do, so I just kind of left him off to the side, and I eventually, I guess, fed him enough that he upgraded to his next level, and he had like this insta death attack.
oh, okay.
So I'd use it once every like 10 fights there. It was pretty cool, but for the most part, I could live without it.
I love the idea of you playing like you're just like, hey guys, what's with the radish? And you're like, I don't know, he's just following us. Just leave him there. There's like entire guides online to like how to level up all these characters, and Captain N's like this stupid fucking radish just keeps following.
I don't want to eat my vegetables.
Yeah, I love radishes. No, I got the fluff guy early. I ended up finding 5 of them, but one of them was like a fire dragon, and I leveled him up to level like his max level, which was level 3. And he was kind of useless on enemies that weren't weak to fire, but enemies that were weak to fire, he was a god.
No,
So, and
I
he just
found
looked cool.
3 total, but like I said, I just ignored them pretty much.
Yeah, like I felt like I wasn't like the only what I honestly used them for was especially toward the end of the game, I would find an item and then it'd be like your inventory is full, and I would just start feeding weapons and armor to my capsule monsters just to get it out of my because I don't need to sell it. I don't need the money. So I'm just feeding them the weapons and armor because that's how you level them up is feeding them weapons and armor they like.
Oh, see, that would have been nice to know because I was obscenely wealthy by the end of the game. Like,
Because you kept selling everything. Like
yeah,
I had
it
lots of
just
money,
make the
but
room.
I didn't sell any armor. I just kept feeding it to my pocket monsters. My
Yeah.
pals. I think that's what the world calls them now is pals.
Oh, is that it? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because of that new game.
yeah, at least until that game gets. I don't know if it's gonna get taken down or not. That's
No, no,
another
I
story.
think they're fine.
I think they'll be okay. Yeah. Nintendo does have lawyers, but nah, they'll be okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I have a public defender.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else in the combat. You have the IPs. You've got like the basically. Oh, one complaint I have about the combat at the very beginning, like so when your turn first loads up, there's like a ladder of options, and the default option is to pick to go into attacking. But then you can also pick the option to move two members of your party around in case because two go in the front, and two go in the back. So if you get attacked from behind, if you want to switch them around, you can do that. But then there's the option to retreat. You don't retreat by like holding L and R. You just pick it right out of the gate. And dude, the number of times that I accidentally went down and picked retreat when all I wanted to do was go down and pick to use one of my IP attacks from my first party member. And then I lost my whole turn because the whole party tried to retreat because I had just
Oh.
gone too fast. That and I still never died because the game is so goddamn easy. But I was like, fucking retreating in a goddamn RPG should be hold L and R. That's
Yeah.
how you retreat.
What game was I just playing? Final Fantasy 3, like the original one there. You have to choose flee out of the menu and you have to choose it with all four people.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
That's so annoying. So it
The
drove me
invention of
crazy.
the L and R button was done solely for the purpose of fleeing in RPGs.
Yes, I'm a big fan of the L and R flee. So that's my first big gripe was I fucking hated that. Is there anything else in the combat? Like I can't think of anything else I
No,
haven't
the
seen in the
combat was
combat.
pretty straightforward. The IP added a little element of, I guess, uh, no, joy's not the word. Holy crap, my brain just went blank. It just kind of added a little bit of flair to the whole combat to differentiate it from other stuff. But like you said, that Jeffrey said, it's basically limit breaks.
Yeah, and it just again just makes you I felt OP playing this game. Like I felt overpowered for most of the game.
Yeah,
So okay, so we did that. We have the ancient. Oh, all right. We've been talking about the story forever. Let's talk about the story. Uh, basically, these sinistral creatures are these four gods,
yeah.
demons. I don't know what the fuck they are.
Well, they
Um,
call themselves gods.
yeah, and they're basically like it starts out with one of them, and you end up you kill the one, and you're like, oh, the game's over, we won, and everybody runs off and falls in love, and then it turns out that like nope, there's actually four of them, and he was like the weakest of the four, and now they're back, and now they're mad, and they're gonna take over the world, and you have to stop them like that, or they're gonna destroy the world, and you have to stop them. That's the basic premise, but
Yeah, so very
where the
classic.
game where the game loses me from a story perspective is it's like basically the game is like, hey, go to Toontown, talk to the rich person in Toontown. I want you to get the crystal from that cave up the road, and then I'll let you use my boat to get to the next town. Rinse and repeat. And every town is just, hey, can you go to this cave or mountain that's nearby, get something for us, and then we'll let you keep moving on.
Yeah, and you didn't even have to search for the cave because it was like right on your path. There's only one way to go. The mountains would
Yeah,
narrow, the trees would guide you, something like
yeah.
that.
And they would be like, oh, it's just to the north. And so it's like that's literally the only direction I can go to begin with. And that's the only thing that's up here is this fucking cave.
Yeah, and it stands out like a sore thumb. And
Yeah.
go in, you
And
do the same thing, get the key, do the puzzles, fight the boss, leave.
yeah, and I will say for me, that didn't bother me because I like linearity. I'm a big fan of linearity. I tell me what to do. I like to be bossed around. What about you? Like you're a bigger JRPG fan than me. Was it too linear for you?
No, I also enjoy linear games. Like I play RPGs for the story, so I want it to tell me a story, not make me guess where I have to get the story.
Sure.
Like I'm not going to a library searching for a book. Just tell me what the fuck you want me to, know.
Yeah. The only thing it did that irritated me on occasion is it would tell me to go to a town. And again, if you bought the game physically, maybe the manual came with a map, but I had to look up a map because I had no idea where the town
Oh
was.
yeah, I did too because the names meant nothing to me when you warped.
No, exactly. Yeah, nothing. So it would tell me like, oh, we have to go back and see. Like at one point, that professor guy joins your party,
Yeah.
and then there's a few times where you have to go back to him once he leaves the party to go work in his lab, and you have to go back to his lab and like see him. But I couldn't remember the name of the town his lab was
Nope.
in.
You just continue warping until it looked familiar.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, fuck. I ended up looking up a map and just being like, I can't. I don't know where the fuck I'm going. So I didn't mind the linearity, but like I really didn't feel the story was anything to write home about. Like they have a little bit of a love story with I named the main character Hoju. I don't
Maxim.
remember what the main character's name was.
It's Maxim, like the magazine.
Maxim, like the magazine. That's a sweet name, actually. So yeah, Maxim ends up falling in love with the fuck. What's her name?
Solan.
Solan. The names are stupid in this game. The only name I remember is Guy.
No, I remember
So
Tia because the one that you find at the beginning of the game's like, "Don't go, Maxim. You want to stay in this boring shop with me instead of going on awesome adventures?"
yeah, she's like in love with him, but
Yeah,
kinda. I gotta say, like I genuinely expected her to be a bad guy at the end.
yeah. I figured she would flip halfway through
Yeah.
the game, but she just tucked her tail between her legs and went home.
Yeah, just gave up. Like that's fine. Yeah. So you've got Maxim, who's like the main character. You've got the Solan,
Yeah,
the badass that becomes she's awesome actually. But she becomes his like wife during the game. You have Tia, Maxim's friend who joins the party early on. Guy, who's kind of a dipshit, but he's pretty strong.
yeah. He's all power. He has no magic at all.
Yeah. And he makes sure everybody knows how powerful he is. That's all he talks about. I actually thought the coolest character in the game was Dekar,
Decker, yeah,
Decker, the dude with like the blue hair with the fucking frosted streak through it.
yeah.
That
Too
was like
stupid to die.
dumb as fuck, but just such a likable dude and a badass. But and the game leans into that too. Like he is
Yeah,
a dumbass.
I love when games have a character like that. A character that you like the Garl in Sea of Stars, there, where you think he's going to be an absolute pill, but he turns out to be the best character.
Yeah. Yeah. He was the best character. And like, dude, I'll be honest with you. Again, we're spoiling stuff, everybody. I'm sorry. But like when he dies, I was like, well, I mean, that's part of RPGs. Like that's okay. That makes me want to kill the enemy more because you just killed off my favorite character.
Yeah, now
But
I have
then
a reason.
what's that?
Now I have a reason to finish.
Exactly. But then when he shows up again at the end of the game, I was like, what? You're okay? And I wanted him back in my party. But no, he's too good to be in my fucking party now.
He's too money for that shit.
Yeah. And then there was the nerd,
Lexus.
yeah, Lexus, the inventor, who like is only in your party for a short while, but I thought he was okay.
He holds his own,
Yeah, he does.
which is
And
nice
then
about this game is they didn't have that character besides Tia that was really useless to the party at any point.
yeah, there's no spoony bards in this one.
Yeah,
Fucking Edward, the uselessest useless that ever useless. And then at the end of the game, you get Artia, I think, the elf.
yeah. I just got Artie written down.
Yeah, and Artie turned out to be like, because again, he had that holy magic.
Yeah,
He turned out to be one of my MVPs. That guy was a little beast.
well, he's one of the final four that makes it to the end of the game.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. So, and I liked Guy. Guy made me laugh because he was just such an idiot. Like
Yeah,
just
he's
just
all
so
about
full of
the
himself.
strength.
Yeah, watching him and Dekar, whatever the fuck his name, watching those two argue with each other the whole game was pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it made for good storytelling on a otherwise bland story.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like the characters are neat, but like there's really not a like outside of the whole story of Maxim and Solan having the kid and then having to abandon their baby to go save the world. And then like Guy leaves his girlfriend at home and doesn't seem to really care about her all that much.
No, he doesn't.
There really wasn't a lot of like the story really wasn't like with Artie, they kind of teased that humans and elves don't get along, but they really didn't get too into that. Like
Yeah,
there really wasn't much there. The
I
story's
did
pretty
like the
basic.
mid-story, I guess, story break there with the marriage and the kid being born. That was kind of a nice touch because you beat the one Sinstral there, the big guy,
Yeah.
Gade, and then all of a sudden you're like in this. I don't know. It had to last about maybe 10 to 20 minutes of just this story going through the seasons, them having a kid, and kind of carrying on with life. It was almost like an ending.
I genuinely thought it was. I was like, did I beat this
Oh, did
game?
you?
Was that it? Like that wasn't very hard at all. But then then the Sinistrals come back and then they have to like get the squad back together to go save the world and abandon their baby and
Yeah,
uh
and
yeah.
abandoning babies is very important in RPG
Oh,
lore.
absolutely, yeah. So then at the end of the game, and again we're spoiling stuff, everybody. I warned you. It turns out that this game is actually a prequel to the first Lufia. At the end of the game, the two parents die to like save the world, and so that baby gets left alone. So in the sequel or in the prequel, I guess the first one, do you play as the baby?
No, you go 99 years in the future and you play as you name the character. So obviously, I named him Captain N because who else can save the world besides Captain N? But
Of course.
he's friends with this mysterious girl named Lufia,
Oh, okay.
and that is about as far as I got into it.
Yeah, I've heard that you were just talking about that off air that the first one's not anything to write home about
Oh, it
compared to this
is.
one.
Oh, it's bad.
That's too bad 'cause this one's decent.
Well, if they
Um,
remade this game, I'd love to see them remake Lufia 1 and like add more puzzles and make it more like Lufia 2.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Diablo Canyon 1, why can't you be more like Diablo Canyon 2 or whatever the fuck order it was? Shout out to anyone that gets that reference. Uh, okay, so that's the story in a nutshell. I genuinely don't feel like the story's anything to write home about. It's not
No.
that. I'm saying write home about a lot. For the record, I've never written home, so I don't know why I keep saying that, but yeah, the story's nothing great. Uh, okay, so we have the ancient cave still, and I really want to get into the glitches because the glitches are a big deal. So, and then is there anything else? Like, is there anything else other than those two things we haven't touched on that you think is worth bringing
No,
up?
we talked about the puzzles, the items, weapons,
Okay.
battles, everything. We're pretty much ready to wrap up.
All right. So the ancient cave. Everybody kept messaging me, "Did you try the ancient cave?" For people that have played this game, it seems like the ancient cave is the main event. I'm gonna be honest. I did not. I did not play the ancient cave.
Yeah, it seems like the ancient cave is actually more exciting than the actual game.
Yeah, so I'm kind of just like Captain N and I. Jeffrey talked about it a bit, and Captain and I are. I don't have a ton to add. I'm sorry. We're kind of just speaking out of like what we've read about it. Basically, it's something you can do during the game, or once you beat the game a couple of times. I guess you can pick from anybody that was in the game and go back. Basically, it's like a roguelike, and it's 99 levels of a dungeon that are randomly generated. And you start out with a party at level 1, and then as you play through the game, you find items and stuff that you can equip and use to get through this dungeon, and the goal is to try to get to the end of the obviously to get to the 99th floor of the dungeon. And uh fuck, how long? It was like 60 hours or something to beat
When
it.
I when I looked up on the walkthrough, yeah, it was between 60 and 80 hours.
Like, what the fuck? So I'm sorry to anyone that was like hoping that I would do it. I'm like, I put 30 hours into this game, which for me on a JRPG is pretty fucking good. I'm not doing a 60-hour
Well, that 30
roguelike
hours
fucking
is the
dungeon.
sweet spot.
Yeah, 30 is the sweet spot. I agree. But I will say that if I had gotten this game as like a kid for Christmas or something, having this like borderline endless fucking dungeon to be able to go through over and over again, I think that's pretty goddamn creative, quite frankly. And that adds a lot of meat to the bone, as it were, and a lot of value to a game back in the day. I quite think that I think the idea is really cool.
Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna go back and play this game again someday. I know I'm going to because I really did enjoy it, the overall experience, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
take on that ancient cave when I have a chance.
Yeah, if I had more time, I would have liked to have tried it myself just because I thought it was such a cool idea. The problem with the ancient cave was I didn't find it while I played the basic game. Oh, and we didn't mention the dragon eggs. I have nothing else. You can find these eggs throughout the game. Jeffrey talked about it. Did you find it? I found like 4, but I never cashed them in.
I found a bunch of them. Yeah, same thing. Never cashed them in. Didn't even know what they were for.
Yeah. I guess there's like a dragon you go give them to, and then you get items from the dragon. But the last thing I needed was more powerful items. The game was too easy as it was. Um, Now the glitch. So we both emulated this game, but from what I understand, the actual physical release also had the glitch. There's a shrine, and it's like a submarine shrine or something. It's like a mermaid temple, and there's no enemies in it. Thankfully, you just walk through it, and you have to find an item that's in it. But as soon as you go in, it looks like an NES game that you didn't blow in before you put in. Like, it's just random shit everywhere and lines and blocks, and you basically have to try to steer your characters through this mess to the area in front of the item you need to collect to trigger the next cut of dialogue to keep the game going. And it is just blatantly a glitch within the game, like a bug that they didn't fix. I don't know where you are on this, but I that's a pretty big fuck up in my opinion. Like,
Yeah, it's a huge fuck up. I originally thought it was part of the game. I thought it was supposed to represent some sort of mystical world or something like that, but I
yeah,
couldn't figure out how to finish it. And when I looked it up, I learned of the glitch.
yeah, because there's all these treasure chests you can see in there and stuff, and it turns out none of them have anything in them. You can't get to them. It's just, again, just the game glitching and just putting them in random
Yeah, because the
places.
path to get to what you need to get to still exists. You just have to look up a walkthrough to see what you have to do, and it's fairly simple too.
It is. But to ship a game, like, I mean, listen, we chat like Cyberpunk deservedly so. Cyberpunk took it on the chin for fucking years because of that shipment. And this game basically did that. Like, I'm not, the whole game's not a broken mess, but to make this critical point in the game that you have to play through literally not work is a pretty big fuck up.
Yeah, and it was only in the North American version as well. So that's another thing. Like, obviously, when they translated it, somebody fucked up somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Now on the ROM, and I don't know if it's because you and I both used the same ROM or what, because Jeffrey said he didn't have this issue. When I beat the game, there's the final cutscene where the two spirits are floating through the air and looking at it. Because, you see the scene where they go around the world and stop in on everybody and make sure everybody's good because the world
Yeah,
is safe, and blah, blah, blah. But then I can't even watch the credits. The credits were the same thing. It was just a couple of lines and blocks on my screen.
yeah,
And
absolutely
then
the same thing.
yeah, and then that was it. Like, I had no option to, like, do anything with my game. Like, I couldn't save it, I couldn't reset it because it's a ROM, which, like, listen, if it's a glitch exclusive to the ROM, then I'm not gonna take any points off because, well, it's, I didn't buy the game, fair enough. But to have that that submarine temple broken, that's gonna cost us some points on my scale. That's pretty unacceptable to me to ship a game with something that broken in
Yeah,
it.
I don't know if it's the ROM or the cartridge again, but in the ancient cave, I guess the second to last level is also glitchy like that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Oh, dude, if I spent hours on that fucking cave and then had it glitch like that, I would lose my fucking mind.
yeah, and the best part about that, since they're randomly generated floors, you
Yeah.
can't just look up a walkthrough.
No. Oh my god, that would fucking piss me off. So I am gonna ding it some points for the glitches. Cause and it wasn't just that. There, like, minor thing, but like there were some text glitches with your items and stuff like that too. Like, the game clearly, like, they clearly ran out of time or money, one or the other. And they
Yeah.
shipped this game before it was done. And
Um,
it's too bad because it's a good game, but it needed a little bit more polish.
yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, it really needed a play tester to actually play through it.
Yeah. Like, I'm at a point where I will never buy a physical copy of this game
No,
for my
neither will I.
collection, knowing that it's got that kind of a glitch in it. I'm good. So, and
Unless I
it's
can get
really
a
too bad.
European.
What's that?
Unless I can get a European version.
Yeah. And I gotta say, man, like, it really is too bad because outside of those glitches, and again, the combat being a little easy, the story being a little lame, but like, it's a good game. Like, I thought it was a good game. I just, that's a big fuck up in my opinion.
Yeah, and
Um,
otherwise, yeah, it was a great game besides that one glitch there, and kind of sucked that you had to look it up, but it is what it
yeah.
is. At least it wasn't something that was game breaking.
No, absolutely not. And yeah, it was. I'm glad I played it in an era where I had the internet instead of just stumbling around in the dark as a kid. So
Goddamn kids.
yeah, fuck it. Although I will say, if I had tried to play this before the internet, I never would have gotten past the red and yellow brick puzzle.
Yeah, it's true. Unless
That's
you
where
had
my
your
save would have
Nintendo
ended. Was
powers.
right there. So, are we good? I think we touched on
Yep.
everything. I'm good. All right. So Jeffrey's scoring scale is 7 because there's 7 playable characters in this game, which is a perfect number for an RPG, by the way.
So you didn't tell me
So,
what the scoring system was going to be. So the whole episode had been kind of going through my mind of how high it was going to get, but seven's
oh,
kind of threw me off.
well, good. That's what we do here at Remember the Game. You're the guest, so I give you the honors. On a scale of 1 to 7, what would you score Lufia II: Rise of the Sinistrals? I know I'm not saying that right. It's a joke.
Well, taking away the glitches, that's not going to, or it's going to keep it from getting that perfect score. Flat story, but I still enjoyed the middle part and the ending. I was kind of good, so I'm going to give it a good. I'm going to give it a 5.5.
All right. That's a good score. I was thinking 5. Yeah, I think it's a 5. I'm taking a point off for that glitch because that's unacceptable. And then just, it's funny because, like, I feel like I'm docking it a point for how basic the story, and how linear it was and everything, despite the fact that I loved that. Because I genuinely do. I don't want to go exploring all over the place. I like the linearity, but I do think the story and stuff could use a little bit of they could have tried a little harder.
Yeah,
So I'll give it a 5. It's good. I don't think it's as good as, like, the Crown Jewel RPGs on the Super Nintendo, but I think it's a shame that more people, especially RPG fans, haven't played this game.
I think if this game had gotten more visibility, and at the time, you would have seen a Lufia 3.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think it. I mean, and it came out in '96, right? So now we're getting close to the Nintendo 64, and I think it
You
just
got
kind of got
Mario
lost in the.
RPG, Final Fantasy 3.
Yeah, just kind of lost in the shuffle. And again, there's just so many great RPGs on the Super Nintendo. You need to be a special fucking game to stand out in that library.
Yeah.
So, good shit. I'm glad I played it. This is up there in 286 episodes. This has to be in like the top 5 games that I never would have played without this podcast. But I'm actually really glad that I did. It was a pretty good little game. I
Yeah, I'm
quite
not
enjoyed
going
it.
to complain about having to play this. This was a good, fun experience. It
Yeah.
definitely makes my list of, obviously not 286 episodes, but it's high up there.
No, it was good. Cap, thanks for doing this. If people want to listen to more of your ramblings, where can they do so?
Oh yeah, me and another member of the community started a podcast about a couple of months ago, back in October. It's called Retrotopia, and it's available on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And on the 1st of March, I'm releasing a indie podcast called The Underground Arcade. So episode 1 is going to be a monthly thing. It's going to be about The Long Dark for episode 1, and then I'm going to try to release a new episode every month.
Fuck yeah. Good for you, buddy. I love seeing how many people in this community have started podcasts. Like
It's fun.
it is fun, right? That's the whole reason I started it. It's just, and that's the key. And that's what I tell people. Is just like, don't do it to like make a career. Like if you get a career out of it, don't. But like, just it's fun. Just do it because it's fun. It's fun to just sit on the internet and say stupid things. That's what the
Yeah,
internet's for.
absolutely. Being
So,
wrong is one of my favorite things in the world.
I've made a career out of being wrong. so, so you guys can find a link to that in the description of this episode if you want to, pending Captain N remembering to send it to me. But I'll hopefully he does.
Writing a note now.
And buddy, thanks again for doing this. It was good talking to you. And yeah, go Lufia. I'm glad we shared Lufia with the world.
Yeah,
Fuck yeah. And Jeffrey, thanks again for suggesting it. Good suggestion.
I'll never forgive you.
I'll never forgive anybody, but so there's a difference. That'll be the Adam Hates the World podcast, and I'll start in a couple more years. So take it easy, buddy. Good talking to you.
Yeah, later, buddy.
That is going to do it for this week's episode. Jay Nasty, thank you so much for your generosity and for putting this game on my radar. It was fucking awesome. And Captain N, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy Monday to talk to me about Lufia II and everything, all that we just did. Y'all just heard all of it. If you want to check out Captain N's wares, look in the description of this podcast. You will find it. Tell them I sent you. That'd be very cool. And thanks for listening to this show. If you liked it, listen, leave us a good review. Please, I'm begging. Listen. My hands clasping. I'm begging you. Leave us a good review. I have no idea if they accomplish anything, but I got to keep up with all the cool kids, and they're asking for them, so I'm going to as well. And if you want more of these, I'm not going to beg you for this one, but patreon.com/rememberthegame. It is such a smoking deal if you can stand the sound of my voice. $3 a month to start. Hundreds of archive podcasts, ad-free, waiting for you. New episodes every week. You can write into the show. You can vote in our polls. All that good stuff. Finally, a chance to play one, remake one, erase one. And you help keep the bills on around here. Molly needs a bunch of medication right now, and the Patreon is paying for it. So you get more podcasts, and I get to fix my dog. It's win-win. Patreon.com/rememberthegame. I'm also over on the old Twitch box, playing old video games and swearing and doing the thing where I get mad at stuff. Twitch.tv/rememberthegame. Come by and say hi whenever I'm over there. Following is completely free, and then it'll holler at you and let you know when I'm online. What else do I want to tell you about? I guess that's it. You can see our merch. I'm on Cameo. You can find all that stuff at rememberthegamepodcast.com. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at rememberthegame. TikTok, I'm on TikTok now at rememberthegame. I don't really understand TikTok, but I'm over there, so give me a follow over there. And I think that's it. Molly, you got anything? No, that's it. So I'm going to thank some patrons to get out of here, and I will be back tomorrow for all our patrons with Expansion Pass number 200, where I will revise my list of my 100 favorite games of all time. Should be a banger. Take it easy, everybody. Talk to you on the next one. Cheers, so long, goodbye. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. I could not puke up all the content I churn out of you without all of your support. The following people are the senior executive vice president level or higher at patreon.com/rememberthegame, and as such, I am contractually obligated to thank them as quickly as possible. So a huge thank you to Remember the Game Hall of Famer Slick fucking Rick, Claptrap Stamp, Shank the Rat-Faced Bastard, Adam's former assistant, the cardigan-wearing wrestler, Captain Steve N, Casually Filthy, VOS Rager, Wilco, Justin Blair, Diablo Spartan, Chicken Gizzards, Theodore, David Schroeder, Lousy Smarch Weather, The Mutts Nuts Darbies, Eric Hopewell, Adam Blank Still has reviewed Sly Cooper 2, Bearded Bastard, S, Alex McIntyre, Toby Op, Nothing Can Possibly Go Wrong, there's a voice crack, Philip Ramsey, Lotus, Johnny Zubu 81, Lord Stay Puffed, Austin from Past to Present Player Podcast, Flitty 123, Ryan Whitcomb, Big Daddy Randall, Scissor Fist, Elephant Calves, Chaz Hammond, Put It in Age, Cody Thompson, Liquor Like Luigi, Fill Up My Mouth with Farts, Cesar, Plow King, Buy Me Bone Storm, Matt Zeus, Sector, Bula, Gluscapin, Blobby Rogers, Brian Richmond, Sabin, Guy Who Does Things, Robbie Air, Jay Callahan, Adam Blank Still has reviewed Mario Galaxy, Tornado, Shoeboxers, Atrio, Wormwood, Mark Sneed, E-Man Trucker, Would You Kindly, The Supreme Chosorizo, Fallen Snow Kiku, Tyler Bauer, It's OG, Hired Goons, Who, B Money, Mellow Yellow 8787, Chris Hill's a Hammer Brother, Carbon Fiber Zombie, Benjamin Atkins, Faded Sufferance, Alex Ramos, Salar Goatface, Max Sandin, Frosty Bear, Lucas Shaman, Roger Starbucks, Pool Cleaner, Lord Logrod von Hugendon II, Marcus Mendoza, Because 19, Beers of War, Alpha Kenny 1, This MF, Can't Destroy Her, Kevin Monroe, The Big Deal, Adam Martinet, Youngster TK, Nick Creature, West Gen, Tazelhoft, Postman, Darth Skywalter, Rated X, Int, Solomon Soto, Just Car Pranks, Mr. Papa Giorgio, Itzy Nutsuru, Lucas Valadez, Alex R, Ryan Perry, Ted Explosion, Tom Houlihan, Neil Cooper, Alexander Camps, Works For Me, AB Killen, Wombo Wombat, Wang, Kia Pup, Brendan DeZeba, Bobby Litton, Maverick, Big the Cat, Zamatos, Christopher Britt, Cam Nelly 23, Quiet Place Queen, Burt Macklin, Chevy Boy 9211, Hitchy Poo, Sofrito Bandito, Beef Dingleberry, Timothy Sabrinsky, John M. Watkins, Graham Kennedy, Musty Beetle, Radioactive Man, Maverick Marty, Christian Gabriel, Wolf 15, Timmy the Exuberant Turtle, Isaiah Squeaknut, Sleeper Hit, Colin Bollinger, the Fletchman, Nerdy Hybrid, Donnie the Dude, Walter, Sam Carpenter, Drugs Bed, okay, Franklin Badge, John of the Adult Children Podcast, James Or Francesco, Max Lagroom, I canceled my Netflix to afford this shout out, Them Boys on the Roof, General Fury, Cody Richardson, Nicole, Oroku Saki's Garter, Jimothy, K-H, High Plains Drifter, Hagel Waffle, Earl, Archangel Otaku, Storm Beagle, Scary Terry, Blaine the Hoagie Man, Wyatt the Surgeon Who's Not a Surgeon Row, a dude named Adam, Decoy Man, Fuzzy99, Dan Fusselman, Gabe, Matt Babineau, Stud Still Smash, Rush's Dog Walker, Leroy Westrich, Thomas Smith, Beaver Boy, Laces Out Dan, Biddy, Thomas Childs, Mega Mav, Eric James, Joe the Sandman, Phil Lencher, Tyler Juris, Dr. Mario, Mizuru, Standard Ass Brian, Steve Dalk, Jameer Williams, DBXJ, Madam Nutsich, It's That Nerd James, Elijah Burns, Chugger22, Triple, Frosty Feet 492, Ballsack, Teabagger, Zach Shepard, Holmes, Save State, Scum Dumpster. I like that one. Just a Fish, Randy Barrage, John Woodruff, Tunable Power, Daniel, Jeff Bergeron, Zonko 504, Titan 420, Squints, Johnny from Virginia, Wolf Magic 21, Doogie, Andy Hudson, Wolfgang Darren, Mercury 869, G9 PSX, Mike Maloney, Ryan Kinchin, Zane Donovan, Morgan A-Town, Nathan Tremblay, Aaron Lawson, Scott Brooks, No One Cares, Dave Thompson, Angry Ticks, Little Buddy Fufu 89, Confused But Still Here, Jordan, Andrew Wright, Chris Fleury, Doug Dorn, Dan of Dissect That Film, Dave McGee, James Clark, The Keegs, J Nasty 15, Andre Sharonik, Joe Buck, and Makeshift Mallow Magic Money. Thank you all so much for the support. I appreciate 99% of you. And one of you, you know who you are. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you on the next one. Cheers.